I guess we restream the Korean one. Okay. Okay. Welcome to ASL Season 13, Day 5, Group E. This is Soma's group. Of course, we'll be getting into interviews with the players and find out their thoughts on today's matches.
나의 레벨은 다르다. Another level 하식스와
once again, we're
함께하는
back to another
ASL
ASL Season 13 Final
Final
24 Group E.
안녕하세요,
How are you guys
이현정입니다.
doing?
어제 펼쳐졌던 D조 경기 정말 한참
last night
예상할 수
we
없었던
have
치열한
watched
전쟁 끝에 결국 김지성
very
선수와
intensive game
김경모 선수가
of Gamma
16강
versus
티켓을
Snow,
거머쥐는 데 성공했습니다.
taking
이제
down
얼마
Snow 2 times in a
남지
row
않은 16강
on our
자리를
game
위한
number 1
오늘도
and the
치열한
decider
경쟁이
match.
예상되는데요. 경기 앞두고 있는
And we're
이조
also
4명의
excited to
선수와
see
함께하겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
These four players going to be playing.
네, 오늘
tonight.
박상현 선수와 인사
How are you guys doing?
나눠보겠습니다.
Hello.
안녕하세요.
First of all, we're going to be talking with Soma.
자,
How are you?
최근에 경기를 홍덕 선수와 ASL 시즌 3에서 펼쳤습니다.
So the recent game that you have played against Ruin was during the ASTL. Ruin has been improving. He has been showing such a great game. Not just against Zerg, also against Terran. How do you think about Ruin?
긴장되긴 하는데
So Soma is saying he's
절대로
somewhat
갈것 같습니다.
nervous, but he feels like the game flow will just pretty much gonna be on his pace and take the game over him.
경기 상대 오히려 좋아. 막 이런 느낌이 들 수도 있을 것 같거든요.
So Ruin, how do you feel? And you're the one who's going to be played in game number
요즘
1.
게임이 잘 되고 있기는 한데.
And are you excited for today's game?
요즘 제일
How do you
잘하는
feel?
저구 중에 한 명인 그 상현이랑도.
So Ruin is saying his recent games
긴장은 되지만 좀
working out
잘
so
되고
well for him.
있으니까, 좀
He knows
좋은
Soma is a
좋은 경기
definitely
결과가
strong
나오지
player,
않을까 싶습니다.
but
박상현
he has
선수는
prepared a
일단
lot.
그래도
He
자신감을
feels like this is
넘쳤거든요.
going to be a very good game
홍덕
for him.
선수는 좀 어떨지 들어보고 싶네요.
상현이.
So what do you think of
상현이
Soma?
요즘 확실히 게임이 많이 안 되는 게 좀 보이더라고요.
So
그래가지고
from Ruin's perspective, he has
제가
watched
실수만 안
how
하면은
Soma was
또
playing.
이길 수 있지
Soma
않을까 싶습니다.
has been making lots of small mistakes and started to snowball from there and started losing game a lot on recent games.
정영재
And let's move
선수도
on to
어느새 7번째
JYJ. Hello,
본선
how are you doing?
진출입니다.
And
이제
you
뭐
made it into
베테랑
ASL
선수
7
중
times in a row
후보이신데
consecutively.
7번째 시즌은 좀 다른 시즌과 다른 느낌이
Do you feel like
있으실까요?
this
이제
7th of your ASL
무조건
game
간다고 생각을
is it going to be
그래가지고 좀
is it going to be somewhat
부담스러운
different than the other season,
그만큼
previous
정영재
season?
선수가 시즌을
So
거듭할수록
JYJ was
보여줬던
saying a
모습들이
lot of
있기
fans are
때문에
having
그에 따라서
some lots
또
of
기대감도
expectation of him
커지고 있을
that he will
수밖에
be making it into
없는데요.
round of 16
이번에는
easily
최호선 선수와도 이야기를
because he has been
나눠보겠습니다.
playing so
안녕하세요.
well online and
네,
offline
안녕하세요.
sometimes.
이번 시즌 이 본선의 마지막 문을 닫는 역할을
He'll try
최호선
not to
선수가
downgrade on
해주셨습니다.
his fans.
마지막 예선에서 뚫고 올라왔을
Ssak,
때 그 감정이
how are you doing?
어떠셨는지
And you
기억하실까요?
made it into this ASL round of 24 in the
예선은
day
그래도
2
좀잘
qualifier.
뚫었어가지고 그래도 뭐 당연히
And how do you
뚫을
feel?
거라 생각은 하고 있었어요. 네.
And how do you
오늘 경기
how
앞두고
did you
계신
feel
컨디션은
when
어떠세요?
were you playing on a qualifier?
컨디션은
And
좋은데 제가 24강에서 거의 한 3연속으로
he kind of expected that he'll be easily making it into ASL group stage, even though he got eliminated in day 1.
올라보도록 하겠습니다.
계획이 있는 듯한 뉘앙스의
And the
답변을
caster asked,
해주셨는데요.
Ssak,
지금부터는 팬분들의
how are you
질문을
prepared and
드릴게요.
how are you gonna
박상현
play
선수에게
of this
먼저
today's
질문
game?
드리겠습니다.
And he
아무래도
said he
손목
prepared a
상태에
lot.
대한 걱정이
He'll try his
굉장히
best to make it into round of 16.
공지를 통해서도
what he has
손목에
prepared.
맞았다. 또
So one of the question to Soma,
상황이다라는
Soma
걱정스러운 소식들을
has
좀
some
들려주셔서
health
어떻게 좀
issue.
여쭤봐도 될까요?
손목에 약간 돌이
So one of the question to Soma, he has a
스테로이드
issue with his wrist.
치료하니까
He got some
좀 쉬니까 많이
ultra
괜찮아지고 지금은
wave,
이제
like the
통증 하나도
treatment
없어서
or some
네,
type of like a
좋은
steroid
할수 있을 것 같아요.
treatment, and
다행이네요. 경기에 지장이 없을 것 같다는 이야기를 들으니까
kind of
좀
worked out
안심이
well
되는데
for him with the
다른
treatment,
선수는
and
손목
he
좀
thinks
관리를 잘 하고 계시나요?
he's okay with
정영재
today's
선수는
game.
어떠세요?
And I heard from
잘하는
people,
사람들은 아프다고
JYJ, you're
해도
also
하는데
having some wrist
전
problem too.
아프다고 하면 네가 왜 아프냐고 물어봐서 전 아프다고 안 합니다.
아무쪼록 경기에서
So
오랫동안
he says
배워야
even
되기 때문에
even people have the wrist
중요할 것 같습니다. 자, 계속해서
wrist
또
problem,
질문을 드려보도록
the carpal
하겠습니다.
tunnel
홍덕
issue.
선수에게 주신 질문인데요.
And if you ever tell people to other people
왼손으로
like you have the
마우스를
carpal tunnel
잡는
issue
것을 알려줘야 될 때 좀
and that you're not
불편한
playing
점이
really
있는지,
well,
고충이 있는지
you're pretty much
물어봐주셨어요.
lying. You're gonna be playing really well
사실
anyways.
불편한 점은 하나도
So
없고요.
even if he has a
다른
wrist injury,
사람들보다 더
he won't make an
장점이라고
excuse.
하면은,
He
단점만
doesn't
얘기해야
like to make an
되나요?
excuse. He wants to be a
편하게
man.
말씀해 주세요.
장점은 그냥 그
one of the question to
키패드
Ruin,
숫자 키패드를
you're the left-hand
잘
mouse
쓸수 있다는
gamer.
거. 그게 좀 장점이에요.
Is there any pro and
오히려
a
좋다.
con? Pro and con of your
이번에는 정영재
left-hand
선수에게
mouse?
남겨주신
He's
질문인데요.
saying something about
지난 시즌에 4강까지 가게
the
되면
number pad is on the right side, and when he wants to use the number pad, it's very far away
아쉽게 4강까지는
from
가지
him.
못하시고 시즌을 마무리하셨잖아요.
So
이번
that's what he thinks
시즌에서
of
더 높은
the
단계까지
disadvantage
가게
when he was playing on a
혹시
left-hand mouse.
더 좀 공개 프로포즈라든지 좀 표현을 해주실 수 있는지 질문을 주셨어요.
So another
아무래도
question
뭐
to
프로포즈보다는
JYJ.
그만큼
If you're going up
정영재
higher,
선수가
if you're
높은데
climbing up
그런
high
정도로
in this
팬분들의
ASL
마음인 것
Season 13,
같아요.
are you gonna be doing some
24강에서
public
꺼내는
propose to
얘기는
your
아니죠.
girlfriend?
높이 우승하면은 프로포즈를 하겠다고 우스갯소리로 했는데
So in the past, JYJ said he will do the public propose if he has
바라보고 있는 이번 시즌의 목표는
climb up
냉정하게
higher
어떨까요?
in the ASL stage.
목표는
He thinks
일단
it's not good to do the
4강인데요.
public propose on a
오늘
round of 24.
힘들 것 같네요.
So JYJ is
오늘
saying
고비를 잘 넘긴다면 정영재
he feels
선수
like this
커리어
group is
하이를
somewhat
노려봐도
tough.
좋을 것 같다라는 이야기까지 들어봤고요. 마지막으로 최호선
He
선수에게
wants
질문을
to-
드리겠습니다. 이 최호선
he
선수
wants to
최근
actually
ASL
break
성적도
this,
그렇지만
the death
좀
group.
ASL 시즌 3에서의 아쉬웠던 부분들이 기억에 남으신데요. 그 이후에 좀 혹독한 연습이 있었는지 준비 과정이 어땠는지
So
물어봐
during the
주셨어요.
ASTL, you lost all the games. You lost all the games, Ssak. Did you prepare anything for this ASL?
그래가지고
And
그냥
Ssak is saying when he's playing on a Spongpong or online matches, it works out really well.
끝으로 내
But
선수의
on
각오를
offline,
들어볼 텐데요.
not
최호선
sure
선수 먼저 한
what's
말씀
going
해주시죠.
wrong with him.
꼭 16강
But he wants to
가겠습니다.
keep his
정영재
pace, just like the online
최호
performance.
선수의 그 연패를 이어주도록 하겠습니다.
좋습니다.
Any last word? So
홈런
Ssak said he'll
말씀해
try his
주시죠.
best. He wants to make it into the round of
16강
16.
한 번도 안
And
가봤는데
JYJ
갈것
actually
같습니다.
provoked
좋은
Ssak.
느낌이 든다라는
I want you to
이야기.
keep your consecutive
그렇습니다.
loss.
박상현 선수 한 말씀해 주시죠.
He wants to keep him losing the
재밌는
game.
게임 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
So he said he will try his
어느
best
때보다
to show
기대되는
great games.
24강인데요. 좋은
Soma
경기
said he wants to
기대하겠습니다.
show
인터뷰
some
고맙습니다.
exciting game.
감사합니다.
Thank you for the interview.
ASL 시즌 13 24강 2조 경기에
So that was
나서는
the Ask
4명의 선수들과
ASL
함께
event.
이야기 나눠봤습니다. 과연 어떤 두 명의 선수가
So people
오늘은
who
16강
asked a
진출에
question on the
성공할 수
ASL
있을지
platform and
경기를
got
통해
selected on
함께 확인해
the command got selected, you will get the ASL mini humidifier.
보시죠.
And we'll be moving into the players information soon.
Yep, thank you for the translation scan. And our first matchup, as you can see right there, going to be Soma versus Ruin. And weird to hear that Soma's worried about Ruin because Soma, he's the megastar right now. However, as I stated yesterday, Ruin did have a 3-kill in the ASTL. And I was listening to predictions from Royal today on his stream. He thinks Soma's gonna win it all in this group, but he actually put Ruin. He also thought Ssak was going to make it out of the group too, but he thinks Ruin is going to do well versus JYJ, which is a bit surprising because actually I thought that the Terran players were favored over Ruin here. What are your thoughts on Soma versus Ruin?
Well, I haven't watched how Ruin was playing against Zerg recently, but I know from last night they were Ruin was actually practicing with SDXO Hero, who got into the 3rd place in the previous season, and I think he got some lots of feedback by Hero. So maybe, you know, Hero is one of the Zerg player who's really good at Zerg versus Protoss matchup. He's the one of the Zerg who loves making lots of drone and insanely good at macro too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Ruin probably got some feedback by Hero, like what you have to do when your opponent is like droning up really hard and going for the heavy macro play style. And yeah, I think Ruin might gonna have some like a nice shot on game number 1 on Eclipse, because the Eclipse map is one of the map that has a somewhat far rush distance and easy to protect your 3rd expansion as Protoss.
Well, it's surprising to hear that because yesterday you were calling Gameo to beat Snow, and I would say that Snow's a little better than Ruin here, and Gameo's a little worse than Soma. So to hear that you think that potentially Ruin could take down Soma, that's surprising, but you were on the money yesterday, so maybe we will get Ruin out into the winners match, and then potentially facing off versus someone you practiced with, right, last night, JYJ?
Yeah, I practiced with JYJ and Ruin. Ruin actually asked me for some practices for his either winners match or losers match. Both other games are gonna be played on the same map anyway. So yeah, Ruin, he has prepared something spicy for the either winner or losers match against Terran, either Ssak or JYJ. I'm excited to watch how he's gonna be performing.
Well, last season, the spicy comment instantly reminded me that Ruin versus Light last season, he went for like a Forge expand, right, on Eclipse.
Yeah,
and then
Gastel.
he had he Gastel into Forge expand. Then he had a very big lead versus Light, but Light the monster somehow turned it around and still secured the victory. So I'm curious to see what the spiciness is going to be today, because our losers matchup, what map? Oh, I think it's picked by players, right? So
No, they banned the map.
Yeah, they banned the maps.
Whatever the maps are remaining, they will be played on. But if both of the players ban the same map, then ASL staff will do the shuffle and then probably flip the coin and choose one of the map.
Yeah, that's correct. And we are getting a look at Soma's statistics here, and what a beast versus Protoss. 75% win rate. Really strong win rate versus Zerg too. You can see his win rate versus Terran. Not so hot though, but of course Ruin's a Protoss player. So Soma seems to be the dominant one here. I'm sure we're going to get a look at Ruin's stats pretty soon. I don't remember Ruin being in ASL that much, so I don't expect to see a lot of games played. But as I stated before, in ASTL, Ruin really turned it on and performed very, very well.
Yeah, Soma, I'm not sure whether it was the last season, but I remember Soma was getting eliminated in round of 16 easily by like some type of like a Dark Templar shenanigan, and I remember his win rate against Protoss was like almost 90% win rate, but earlier that we saw of Soma's stats information that his Zerg versus Protoss match somewhat got declined to 75%, but still insanely good stats. And we are also looking at Ruin's stats. He doesn't have that much of information. 2 losses so far, but we haven't seen his PVZ yet.
Yeah, and it's cool to see someone like Ruin make it up the ranks and into ASL because, you know, back when Brood War was still alive in the Pro League days, I think Ruin was one of the youngest back then. Like, I don't remember him playing in like 2005, for example. So for him to climb up and now all of a sudden being on the big stage, that's very exciting for him. I hope he does well today, whether he makes it out or not. At least I hope the games are great. And I think we're going to be starting pretty soon. We don't have the clean feed today, guys, so if you hear Korean commentators in the back, that's why. So just keep that in mind. Once we get the clean feed, well, tomorrow or later on today, I'm sure we'll fix it if possible. But yeah, just keep that in mind in case you hear a lot of screaming from the Korean commentators.
It looks like players are getting ready and getting some sign from the staff. And he's sipping some ice Americano.
Of course, yes, the I forgot about that. That is a very popular drink in Korea. I know Ziggy, the Polish player, has actually come to Korea. At least that's what I've been told, and I'm sure he's finding out how popular iced Americano is, fried chicken is. I mean, it's just everywhere. Pizza shops everywhere. Do you drink ice Americano? I'm not a big coffee guy.
So am I. But whenever people are getting lots of ice Americano, I'll just drink it. But I don't like it. But I'm not disliking it though.
Okay, well, I don't drink coffee at all, so it was a new thing to see that so common here. But our players are ready. Let's get into game 1. It's Soma versus Ruin. Map is, of course, Eclipse. In the bottom left are pink Zerg. It is Soma.
ASL 준우승 기록이 있는 선수입니다.
And in the top,
I'll lower down the volume.
선수예요.
and in the top right, our Protoss player. It is Ruin.
오늘
Yeah, the Korean commentating was throwing me off a little bit. I wasn't used to hearing it. Now, we were talking about how strong Heroes Zerg versus Protoss is. And we know Soma has equally strong Zerg versus Protoss, but I have a feeling Soma's style is different from Heroes. Is that correct, or do they play pretty similar?
They're somewhat similar, and yeah, both of them really love to make lots of drone too, but both of them are really great with the mass hydraless play style. But I'm pretty sure Soma is one of the Zerg players who kind of likes to turtle with the hype tech. But let's see how they're gonna be played. And we see Soma not making the overpull, not overlord. So this is not going to be 9 pull. Oh yeah, this is a 9 pull, yeah.
And Soma doing Soma things with the 9 pool. For you Terran players out there on the ladder, I'm sure you've experienced the Soma effect because these days I get Ling all-in or hyper aggressive all-in in some fashion almost every single game. So for him to go for another aggressive opener in this particular matchup, I'm not surprised at all. Now, Ruin, he needs to scout because if he thinks that this is going to be just a 12 hatch, he may just outright die to the 9 pool if he doesn't get that forge down.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think he will be. Ooh, we're looking
Look
at
at
players' profile. They're just their birthday. Their birthday is 1995, August 22nd for Soma and 21st for Ruin.
Yeah, so very young players here. I remember you yesterday calling, who was it? Who was Gamo? You're telling me that Gamo's old at 33 years old. It made me feel really bad because I'm 35. So we've got 2 players here that are just 26 years old. So they've still got that mobility in their hands.
Well, you may feel you're more old if you're in Korea because you were born in '86, so you're 37 in Korea.
Oh no! And that means Artosis is what, like 40, 41, something like that?
what year was he born in?
I think he's 3 years older than me, so
Yeah, so 83, right?
Yeah.
So he must be 40 in Korea.
Oh my gosh.
He's-
Over the hill. Does he have any defense?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think he does. Oh, he does. Okay.
Well, I guess, yeah, of course, Pro's not gonna be making the mistake of the tiny mistake of the cannon timing, of course. So probably that could be one of the reasons why the spectator didn't show the photo cannon timing. But we have seen Ruin was denying that natural expansion for a long time. Soma didn't lose any Zergling. That's great.
Well, something I want to point out here is that natural. That is an interesting cannon placement. You know, I've always wondered why pros don't put cannons right next to their forge, and well, I mean that's directly under and over top the forge. So I don't even know if Soma will be able to pick off this forge easily with something like a Hydra Bust. We'll see if he still wants to opt for something like that. But we do see that he is going for 3 hatches. He just started his gas, or just started having income from his gas. Probe has been pushed away though, so he may opt for a Hydrogen, but I think we're probably... Oh, what's that doing? Okay, yeah, I think it's most likely just going to be a lair.
Yeah, their start by Soma. Ruin is getting the Cybernetics core at the main base. Since this is a forge expand, unlike Lady the Gateway expand, you kinda have to go for the second gas much faster than the usual timing. But we are seeing Soma is making lots of drone here, just relying on the 6 Zergling so far.
Well, first Zealot moving to the center of the map, and it looks like it's going to avoid the Overlord, but maybe be intercepted by these Zerglings. And 4lings will beat 1 Zealot, so he's got to be careful. And he instantly turns this one around. Now meanwhile, Overlord got into the main and does see that there is a Stargate. Now this Zealot actually might get caught. Someone's doing a really good job to defend this Zealot or keep it from getting back to its base. But second Zealot going to sync up. And meanwhile, Probe does get into the main and will get off a full scout. And look at that! He takes down the Zealot for only 1 ling.
So that was a very good Zergling micro by Soma, but still letting that Probe getting inside of the main base. Still no Spire yet. Okay, there's a Spire going up. I'm pretty sure Stargate about 50%, 60% done by now. We see Ruin not getting the +1 upgrade yet at 5 minutes. Okay, yeah, Stargate is already done it. Okay, judging by how late the Spire is, I have a feeling Soma will be losing 2 Overlord or maybe maximum 3 Overlord here. Soma needs to hide his Overlord as much as possible. We see him, he's hiding to the bottom middle, the 6 o'clock side.
Yep, we do see one going in that direction, and we'll see how many kills he can get here, because losing 2 Overlords, I mean, that's a big deal. Losing 1, not so much, but 2, that is pretty painful. Now back in his main, I didn't get to see if the Citadel started. His gas is so low that I imagine it has started. We see that the Forge is spinning too, and he does find that Overlord at the bottom side of the map, so that's going to be 1 Overlord gone. And you can see Soma sneakily hiding that one that was in the main, pretty close to the main actually, so he may actually not find the second Overlord.
Yeah, that was a smart move of hiding the Overlord somewhere near to his base, edge of his main base. And we see the Corsair flying towards Soma's natural. Right now he needs to gather the information whether Soma is putting down the second gas and the Hydroden together, or just second gas but no Hydroden. We see no Hydroden whatsoever. Oh, he found the Overlord at the 12 o'clock side, so that's a great news. So he'll be picking up 2 Overlord. Ruin got the correct information. He should be reading the response of Soma's build correctly here for now. Scourges are moving out.
Yep, and Soma also gets some information himself. He knows that Ruin here did not skip any Corsairs. He is ramping up the production. He's already at 4, so he at least knows that this was not like a skip into mass gates and speed or something like that. Meanwhile, a couple Scourge are going to fall to the first few Sairs. Just now, Ruin putting down his second gateway. He has, I think, 4 Zealots, and they are moving across the map now, but we saw this yesterday, Snow versus Gameo, and this did almost no damage, so yeah, he is just going to wait around for a couple more Zealots before moving out. And wow, he does end up building Mutilis.
Yeah, he's making the Mutilis, and we see him already making the the 3rd gas already with the Evolution Chamber. We do not see him making 6 hatchery. But we see him just gonna be relying on 5 Mira with some Scourge. Corsair, none of the Corsair has gone down, so that's a great news. But gotta be careful.
Ooh, that one falls down. He ends up picking off one of the Sairs, but these 4 Sairs are doing a ton of damage to these Mutalisks. They're already like less than half health. However, good SimCity with the Sunken Hydrodon and Lings, but it does leave exposed Overlords. I wonder if he'll turn around on the Scourge. Oh, those Mutas are so low. Yeah, they already 3 of them have died, and there's still 5 Sairs left over.
I like how fast this +1 air weapon was really fast, because I'm pretty sure Soma was also getting the air carapace, but since he doesn't have the armor 1 upgrade, these Scourges are just pretty much getting picked up super easily by 5 Corsairs.
Oh, 2 sets of Scourge connect and they take down 2 of the Corsairs. Now there's only 4 Corsairs. Luckily, oh, actually one of them did connect and takes down another Corsair. So now the Corsair losses are ramping up, and now these Overlords are not under as much of a threat, but still +1 pretty darn strong. Almost knocks down an Overlord already. Now the Zealots again not going to be able to get into the natural, so he is going to back off for now, and he is starting to build up that gateway count.
Finally, Soma have the 6th hatchery. Not seeing him having a lot of Hydralisks yet, but with that the power of the drone right now, he has at this 9-minute mark with the 76 supply. He's gonna be squeezing lots of Hydralisks, but I'm pretty sure he might have gotten the Lurker upgrade just like how Gemo was playing, because judging by how fast that third extractor was at the 3rd expansion, these gas, where could have gone? Where could have been used for?
Yeah, I also think we're going to see the Lurkers, but he has spent a lot of gas on Scourge and Mutas. Meanwhile, Ruin's going to be completing his Gateway Flood. He's up to, I think that's 8 right now, and that's generally what you build on 2 bases. Look at the supply from Soma, though. It's basically even, 85 to 95. Meanwhile, army is still pretty much pure Zealot and Templars. Templars each have 1 storm, and there's 3 Templars up, so a decent amount of storms available. DT is hidden out on the map right now, making sure that 4th base doesn't go up.
Yeah, more gateway being built. Not sure how many that is, because he doesn't like to organize his gateway.
Another move out. The storms are pretty good, but he does hit some of his Zealots.
Oh no.
Hydra count is a little bit too much, and it is going to push this back. And just like yesterday, the SimCity forces pretty much only 1 unit at a time to be able to get outside of this natural. So if a Lurker contain does get set up, it could be very difficult for Ruin to get out of his base, but Soma's floating a lot of gas, so maybe there is not Lurkers being morphed anytime soon.
I dislike how fast he's swapping into his gun switches right now, because I've watched how Bisu was playing. Bisu is one of the Protoss players who likes to make almost like 2 groups of Zealot first and try to have the map control first into gun switches, but just relying on a single group, 12 Zealot into gun switches, I am not sure about this, because guns are very darn expensive, and you need those Vespene gas to make extra high Templar here.
Yes, that's totally correct. And something that just happened right there is those Sairs, almost all of them died. And we have to be careful about a Mutaswitch now. The storms are great, hitting a lot of the Hydras, but as you stated, there's not a lot of Zealots, and those Zealots that were there got cleaned up. Templars get picked off left and right, and all that's left are Goons versus Hydras, and every Protoss player knows how that goes. Doesn't go very well for the Goons.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ruin's natural. We saw the Ruin's natural of the probe count. Doesn't seem too high, just like unlikely compared to Snow's PVZ. But I don't know about this super fast gun switches.
Yeah, I don't see how he can actually contest this Hydra army now. Like, Goons are okay, but they need to be comboed with Zealots. Now, Lurkers are being morphed, so now, Ruin, he definitely has to get out. But after losing all of his Templars, I just don't know how that's going to happen. His Observer timing's good, though. It's at least going to match the Lurkers being morphed. But there's a 20 supply lead for Soma. Luckily, this DT might buy some time over at the 4th base, sniping drones. But it's going to be very difficult to get out of his base if he doesn't start pushing in like really if he doesn't start pushing right now.
Yeah, now Lurker should be done morphing at the at the natural there. That's just so many of a magenta color on the minimap, like sitting in an arc. Just like another like a repeat of the game of yesterday, Soma versus Gemo, but different playstyle, not a super fast lurker switches. So last night Gemo has gone for speed Hydraless into lurker upgrade, so he skipped the range upgrade while Guns are not out. But Soma got the range upgrade into lurker upgrade, so we can see him. His lurker switches was 2 minutes later, 2 minutes later than how Gemo was playing. But yeah, this is somewhat like a repeat of getting in the contain.
Yeah, unfortunate. Okay, well, Ruin's gonna come out, but there's a ton of lurkers, and this isn't even the whole army of Soma. Like, there's 20 more Hydras just sitting on the high ground. Zealots just bleed off into this lurker field, and all that's left over is like 8 goons. And unfortunately, this is exactly what happened to Snow. He just couldn't get out. And yeah, Ruin instantly taps out. He knows that he's gonna mine out in 3 minutes, and he just can't break the contain. So Soma easily takes game 1.
That was really weird. I guess I feel like Ruin and Soma, Ruin and Snow, we can see some like the common mistake of them making lots of, or I should say, not many of Zealot and trying to switch over to Gun really fast. But if we try to remember how Rain was playing and who was it? Bisu was playing. We have seen him using the Dark Templar to buy some time, and they made a lot of Zealot before switching over to Guns, because Zealots are definitely a small unit, and Hydraless, the damage type is explosive, so they're gonna be doing the 50% of the damage. So even if he gets the +1, it's just gonna be pretty much doing the 5 damage every single spit that Hydraless are doing. But Guns are a large unit, they just die really fast, and takes a lot of time of building it from the gateway.
Yeah, also cuts into your gas, which could have been Templars. So maybe if there's a rematch between Ruin and Soma, that's something to think about. But Soma moves on into the winners match, and we'll be coming back with JYJ versus Ssak after this commercial break. We are back. We're going to be getting into our TBT matchup, which is JYJ versus Ssak. But of course, we got to talk about the ASL event and
앞서
humidifier.
펼쳐졌던 오늘의 첫 번째 경기 박상현 선수가 승리를 거뒀는데요. 두 번째 경기 만나보시기에 앞서서 이벤트 안내해드리겠습니다. 자, 먼저 ASL 공식 방송국에서 진행되는 ASL입니다. 이벤트 게시글에 선수들에게 궁금한 점 질문으로 남겨주시면 선정된 분께 ASL 미니 가습기 드리겠습니다. 자, 또 하나의 이벤트 역시 ASL 공식 방송국에서 진행되는데요. 승자 예측 이벤트입니다. 승리할 것 같은 선수에게
Sorry, yeah, we have the ASL Season 13 event. Go to ASL mainstream platform, ask ASL, you ask a question to your player, and if you get selected of your comment gets selected, you get the ASL mini humidifier. We are also having the winner's prediction as well. And we are also getting that humidifier as well too. But we are going to be moving into players' information here. JYJ.
Yep, we get to look at his stats right here. His win rate pretty much almost 50%, 45% win rate versus Terran, so that's pretty darn good. I'm trying to think, when's the last time I seen JYJ play a TVT in ASL? Nothing's coming to mind, but I remember last season, I think it was last season, we had Ssak versus Barracks on Eclipse. And that was quite an epic matchup. Do you remember that? It was like a 30-minute TVT slugfest back and forth.
Well, I remember one of the JYJ's game would be, I think it was during the season where Larva was playing, and JYJ taken down Sharp 2-1, I believe.
Oh, wow. Sharp is one of the better TVT players, so that's quite impressive. And we are getting a look at Sakk's stats here. 50% win rate versus Terran. It's surprising to me because, like I've said before, every time I watch Ssak play TVT, I mean, it's great, at least when he's streaming and playing online. Now, of course, offline, a little bit different, so maybe he's just a better online player. We'll see. But JYJ, definitely no slouch. He performed very well in the past few ASLs. This time around, I'm hoping he can go a little bit farther because I think he actually got knocked out in round of 24 or at least early stages the past couple seasons. But of course, he had the highlight like 3 seasons ago, knocking out Bisu. But hasn't been the same JYJ in the past few seasons.
Yeah, Ssak is one of the Terran players who kind of plays somewhat unique. He doesn't like to play standard. And I'm going to be a little bit biased on this TVT because I helped JYJ last night about 7 games on game number 1 on Eclipse. So JYJ is probably grinding his teeth a lot to win this game number 1.
Yeah, and I have played JYJ maybe like 3 or 4 times on the ladder. And I mean, he could be experimenting with builds, but like you said, Ssak generally, from what I see, he can play all types of builds. I actually see him play Wraith style quite a bit, but my experience versus JYJ is it seemed pretty standard into something like Tank Goliath, and he just outmuscles you, outpositions you. So we'll see if that can happen on Eclipse. Instantly, I recognize that they're in the same team, the CP tag team, so I'm sure they have a ton of experience versus each other. So in the bottom left, our white Terran player is JYJ. And in the top right, our red Terran, it is Ssak.
Yeah, I'm gonna be taking a look at JYJ's optimization because JYJ is one of the Terran player. Or I should say JYJ and Royal are the 2 players who are actually doing the optimization so much, and you can see how JYJ is already or slowly leading them more mineral income than Ssak, even though he's having the disadvantage on the left side. It's so interesting to see.
Yeah, usually when I get the left side of the map, I'm not that happy anymore since I know about those top boosts that you can do. Yeah, so JYJ somehow doing a good job, but now you can see Ssak catching up in minerals. There's the depot, the 54 depot that Rush always talks about. If you're not able to get a 54 depot, it means you're not putting your SCVs on the correct mineral patches, but of course these guys are pros. They know exactly which ones to focus on. Now, neither player going for an 8 racks or something aggressive. For now, we're just looking to see whether it's going to be gasless. Is somebody going to hop into something like an 11 gas? But for now, pretty standard.
Oh, look at JYJ's income. He's spending some his money for something else, probably queuing up more worker. Still no barracks is going up. Ssak is putting down his barracks at his ramp, at his entrance. We see him moving out at 12 scout, so I have a feeling this is going to be the racks is spent by Ssak, and JYJ has a lot of money.
Yeah, this is going to be 14 CC, and this scout from Ssak is pretty darn fast. A lot of times you see players scout on something like 14, so for him to be scouting on 12, I thought, okay, well maybe this is going to be something crazy, but he doesn't have gas, so he can't do anything crazy. So instead it's just going to be 14 CC versus the gasless expand, and that's going to give JYJ a really good position going into the mid game.
Yeah, so now Ssak will be realizing there's a 13 CC at the natural and putting on the 15 barracks at the nat as well. And just by seeing how fast that Sakk's SCV came to his natural, JYJ should be realizing this has to be the Rex expand, because none of the marine harassment has done yet so far at this 2-minute 41 second. And now he sees the first marine at the nat. Nice that JYJ didn't lose any of HP of that SCV, and now he's about to drill that marine.
SCV can beat a marine, but the stutter step micro a little bit too good for JYJ right now, and that SCV is extremely low, so I'm sure it's going to get taken down. Is he going to get taken out? No, he gets away with one hit, at least for now. He gets away with one hit on the marine, but it also keeps the marine back, so that means that he can't harass the natural. So overall, this was a great opener for JYJ, but Ssak not slouching at all. I mean, his command center is about to complete 2 in just a second. And he does have a couple of the marines already up, so he's preventing some scouting into the main.
Ssak is the one going to have that factory start slightly faster than JYJ. JYJ finally started his factory as well, a couple seconds delayed, but just by looking at the supply, JYJ has maybe 1 or 2 more of SCV production compared to Ssak, and we are seeing Ssak already moving out with this 3 marine into lifting up his barracks, so that 3 marine will be standing at the middle of the map on the high ground.
Yep, and there is 2 fact follow-up for both players so far. If anybody's going to go for 3 fact, I'm expecting it to be JYJ, but we'll wait and see. Both players have 100 gas for the 3rd factory if they want to, and there is a 3rd factory from Ssak, and that's going to be a matching 3rd factory from JYJ, so pretty much, I would say, almost identical build orders so far.
I'm shocking how JYJ has more supply lead than Ssak.
Yeah, I mean, Ssak had 2 marines out before JYJ even had a single marine, and still JYJ was a hidden supply. Now, I know a lot of players deviate at this point in the game from the 3 fact, and the question is it going to be 4 fact, or is it going to be a starport? Okay, well, there's the answer. JYJ is going to be the one going for 4 fact. Now, whoa, I think that's a 4th fact from Ssak, too. But look at the supply lead.
And this supply lead is weird. I mean, both of the players are doing the pretty much doing the mirror build, same build order, except for the Rex expand and then the CC first. But this supply lead, that means, I mean, if we cancel out those marine production that both of the players have, that's just -3. But vulture count is probably near the even, and that means JYJ has more income. He has more SCV than Ssak.
Well, now this might be dangerous. He needs to turn around. He does get off a nice pot shot onto one of the marines. Oh, whoa, Ssak is going to try and force an engagement here, but he is way across the map. He's got 4 vultures versus, I think, 5 for JYJ. Yeah, there's 5, and that means that JYJ should win this fight. Okay,
wow.
Smartly, Ssak turns around.
Yeah, I guess JYJ, he's doing really well with hiding his barracks on that side, and we see JYJ started off with the starport as well after the 4th factory, and Ssak is putting down another factory, committing to go for the vulture war. But if JYJ avoids the vulture war, that 5 fact vulture is definitely great for the map control, but that means you're going to be cutting off the guess for a long time.
Yeah, I'm so surprised that there's still no armory for Ssak because he hasn't confirmed whether this is like a 4-fact, whether
Wow.
this is 3-fact starport. Like, there's absolutely no anti-air for him at all because he lost all of his Marines too. So he's playing with fire here. Luckily for him, JYJ ended up going for an add-on, and this looks like it could be drops? Maybe? I mean, it could also be cloaked wraiths, of course. But I'm looking at JYJ's natural. There's no gas there, so I'm sure this is just drops.
And now that floating barracks, since JYJ picked up all those 3 Marine, he has the advantage of scouting with the barracks, and Ssak cannot scout because a single Marine still alive at the natural. Finally seeing the 4-fact. 5-fact, can he... I don't think he hasn't seen it yet with the player cam, but he will be realizing from the minimap or later on once he pulls back his barracks. Yeah, he will be started to play defensively here and using his dropship. With the 4 Vulture on the other side.
Yeah, in Ssak, not only does he have
Look at that
no
supply.
anti-air, he doesn't even have mines set up on the map. He has almost no vision at all. Now with mines, he's setting up in the middle. He's getting a little bit of vision, but he has no idea that a drop is coming across the map. He's not even accounting for it at all. There's no static defense in his main. He's just rallying vultures non-stop, and this vulture drop could deal a lot of damage.
I am shocked, like, I mean, if you're the one going for the Vulture War, you're supposed to be leading the supply, but JYJ is making a dropship, making a siege tank, and he has that 20 supply lead still.
Yeah, and all of the defense of Ssak is across the map, so this is a full SCV pull. He's going to deny the academy, which is going to deny the comsat. His units are getting stuck on the ramp, and that means that the vultures are buying even more time. And what does Ssak, or what does JYJ do with all this time he's bought? He started to move out onto the map. His comsat is done. That was a whiff of a scan there, but now he finds a ton of mines, and he's slowly moving into position onto the right side of the map. But that's a huge potential counterattack from Ssak.
Yeah, he has to be careful. I guess JYJ wanted to put some spider mines on that high ground, but look at that Sakk's main base, and supply is just completely behind.
Yeah, he's massively behind, and the first Wraith is out, and that means that now Ssak is going to have to build Goliaths, which you really don't want to build in this scenario. You want to just be spamming out tanks and vultures if you can. Barracks gets found. I mean, not a big deal because Ssak has pretty much built up his factory count at this point, but it is annoying to lose that.
Yeah, he loaded up another 4 vultures inside of that dropship. When we see the vultures and siege tanks are moving out, 3 tank versus 3 tank, but this is a high ground. But JYJ has to be very careful because he doesn't know how much of a vulture Ssak actually has, because since he have been using those vulture for harassment.
And another annoying drop. May not deal a lot of damage in the main here, but it did deny the third base. I'm so surprised that Ssak, despite having the drop deal that much damage, he was the one that was aggressively moving into position. But that's what Ssak does, is he knows the power of positional advantage in TVT. So with him having that high ground, it does alleviate some of the pain that JYJ was putting onto him. Third command center already done for JYJ though, so he's going to be taking that third base. Meanwhile, starport going up for Ssak, so he may be trying to match Wraith versus Wraith. I don't know, because his armory was so late. I don't think this is for +2, but maybe it is.
I like JYJ's idea of his rally point setup at his natural instead of that how should I say the path between his third expansion and natural, because once you start to have the territory, lots of Terran players like to change their rally point to different locations so they can move out much quicker, but JYJ have been setting those rally point at his natural all the time, so he's absolutely okay with not getting any of a vulture backstep. But look at that vulture count, is so high.
Yeah, it's massive. A 30 supply lead for Ssak. When he made this move here, I was like, man, you already have tanks in the center of the map and you're trying to set up another huge push or a huge contain area over there. I don't know if you're going to be able to hold that, and he wasn't. And behind this, JYJ, he's recognizing his advantage. Whoa, Ssak is recognizing that this might also go into a split map scenario, so he's already taking a fourth base too. He's down 30 supply though. If JYJ knew the defense that was at the fourth base, I think he would just go kill it.
Yeah. Last night I was playing with JYJ. Here's a little thing I would like to give you the insight. I told JYJ to put lots of his army at his fourth expansion so he can actually pressure Sak's fourth expansion as much as he can, because Ssak is one of the players who's really good at doing the split map scenario, and he's trying to. He's immediately breaking that side as soon as those spider mines are cleared, and he definitely does not want Ssak to have the opportunity to catch up for the late game potential.
Yeah, you definitely don't want somebody like Ssak to get that advantage, and he is going to deny the fourth base. His siege is just in time. Whether or not he kills these tanks doesn't matter, because he's going to cancel the fourth base, which means that is going to be a denied fourth gas. And you can see instantly fourth gas already taken by JYJ. Race switch coming in for Ssak. Sak's only on 5 factories. Meanwhile, JYJ's at like 7 or 8, and he's got double armory, so his +2 and +1 armor is going to be extremely strong with an overwhelming amount of ground units. But Ssak still does have that contain overlooking the ledge, well, for now, but now JYJ is going to clean that up.
Look how confident he is with breaking each side. He broke the top side, he's breaking the middle side here too, clearing some spider mines. Okay, there's a single race standing, but he should be making a single collider or maybe send some SCV to repair those, he's saying.
Yeah, this is exactly... Okay, I'm not in no way saying I'm nearly as good as Ssak, but in the games that I played versus JYJ, it was the same thing. Is I had... It was overly spread out like Ssak is here, and I just got busted non-stop all over the map by JYJ's overwhelming macro, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Ssak is trying to set up a contain on his portion of the map so he can start at least getting the bottom right side, but he can't defend the top side while also defending the bottom side when he's down 25 supply, and JYJ is punishing him extremely hard. Now +2 for JYJ actually might be done, or it's going to be completing pretty soon. Okay, still only +1 for now, and this was a nice move from Ssak to again continue pressuring this ledge.
Yeah, JYJ is the one have the barracks floated at the middle of the map, so he has the vision control. I don't know how Ssak should be catching up if he's not clearing those army at the top middle where he's supposed to be taking that fourth expansion. And we see from that upgrade, JYJ has the armor 1 upgrade already. So that means in next couple seconds he will be getting the +2 attack. And JYJ's playstyle, I've seen him whenever he has full setup, 3 groups of army, 36 army, he started to go for the attack move, and it looks like he's preparing for that attack move momentarily. We see him, he has that 40 supply lead. Oh.
Whoa, you were talking about Ssak being the one to be BC man, but it's actually JYJ here going for the quick BC switch while also having a ton of factories, so he may just simply overrun Ssak in the next couple minutes. There was the move that you were talking about. JYJ has a lot of units. He was trying to go through the center of the map, but Ssak already has a defensive posture. There's the second armory. Still no add-on for the battlecruisers for Ssak though.
Yeah, it looks like he has almost 3 sets of 3 groups of army, or maybe not 3 groups, but I guess he's confident enough to break the side. But this is definitely a high ground. Ssak has a little bit of an advantage of defending this siege tank line. Okay, ooh, picking up that wraith at the last second.
Yeah, now Ssak somehow has gotten up to almost 5 bases. He's taking the bottom right side of the map. What is contested now is top middle. That has been denied by both players, but really not a lot of defense. And JYJ scans, and he's going to instantly take this base. And now, if we do go into a long game and neither player loses any base, JYJ is going to have the advantage, 6 bases versus 5, and he's already started switching into BC, so Ssak is in big time trouble.
Oh, those Sea Tank will be able to reach that command center, but no vision.
Yep, no vision for now, and what I was noticing is Ssak is still on +1 weapon on his tanks, so that is a huge advantage for JYJ. And again, very hard to defend the top side while also defending the middle, while also defending the bottom, and JYJ recognizes that and jumps on these isolated tanks. It was only 5, and that's it, and now that means bottom right could be breached, and JYJ is crushing it right now. If he can cut off even just one of these bases, he's going to be up 1 base and or potentially 2 in the next couple minutes.
Yeah, we can see him already moving out with lots of C-Stay. Every time, whenever he has like 2 groups, 3 groups of army, JYJ is breaking every single sides correctly and earning all those benefit and the trade really well here. And now Ssak is so desperate that he's throwing a couple of SCV. Maybe is he gonna be doing some SCV bomb? Yeah, okay, first of all he'll be doing the C-Tank with try to defend that expansion first, but BCs are already out.
I'm pretty sure Ssak is going to be shocked when he sees these BCs, and we may just see an instant tap out, because this is extremely fast. 3 BCs at the 17-minute mark, and he's not banking them up, he's just sending them. Okay, maybe he is just sitting them at his rally point, but if he had sent it to bottom middle, I think the game just ends. There's no anti-air at all. There's not even that much defense for the ground. He does reinforce with 4 tanks from the dropship, but 3 BCs, yeah, here they come, and he's easily going to clean this up. I haven't seen a single Goliath anywhere.
Yeah, looks Ssak is just... Oh, I guess JYJ is just not gonna be committing too hard to break that 3rd expansion. He'll be just pulling back and try to take another expansion at the 12 o'clock side, and but BCs are already out. Slowly taking the tank, and Ssak taps out as soon as he sees the better cruisers.
Yep, instant GG from Ssak there. He was not expecting that at all, and that was absolute perfection from JYJ. Macro was on point. I loved his scanning of the positioning of Ssak and overwhelming the contains when he knew he was able to bust through. And JYJ, man, he's looking really strong. And I'm trying to think who knocked out Soma in one of those previous seasons. I think it was JYJ, wasn't it? When JYJ had his big run into the round of 8?
Yeah, I think JYJ beat Soma 1 game, and then Soma went down to the losers match, but then he got Dark Templar Rush on a Polaris Rhapsody, I believe, by Mini, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember the Protoss game, but I do remember JYJ taking out Soma, because before the matches, there was like an ultimate battle event where Soma dominated JYJ. So nicely done from JYJ there, taking down Ssak, and that sets us up for another JYJ versus Soma revenge match. And we'll see if last time was a fluke or not, and maybe JYJ can make it out again.
Yeah, I guess before we move on to the
the
winners
hot
match,
six.
probably, yeah, there is a hot 6 banner there of shooting the camera. Yeah, it's gonna be another exciting match of how Soma wants to play against JYJ, because in season 11? Yeah, season 11, JYJ took down Soma on our game number 1, and I'm pretty sure Soma is probably prepared for something else, or maybe prepared not try to let his guard down and try to do some revenge match against JYJ here.
Yeah, I was trying to think if we've seen any TVZs in our winners match, and of course we saw Gameo versus Royal yesterday, and that was on Metaverse. If you were in the winners match right now, what map would you be vetoing? Or what map would you be trying to get to play on in our winners match?
Well, since it's TVZ, and I heard every time, not just the Africa era, if you're also to try to remember our Kespa era, 3-player map is definitely bad for Terran. So I'm pretty sure JYJ not gonna be excited to play Monopoly, and not sure whether Soma wants to play on a Butter or Metaverse 4-player map.
Okay, so we're going to be assuming that Monopoly's going to get vetoed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Metaverse again. Gameo looked pretty darn good on Metaverse, but those drops yesterday were just too much, and Royal ended up taking the game simply on the back of drops. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Metaverse. I'm hoping we get to see Vermeer, simply because we haven't. Well, first off, is Vermeer even an option? We haven't even seen a
No.
TVZ game on it yet. Yeah.
Well, Vermeer is for the decider match, so we are not going to be seeing the map Vermeer on winner or losers match.
Okay, well, I'm going to say I hope we get Butter then, simply because the only TVZ we saw was a 4 pull by Beast, right? And that's not, I don't even really consider that
Wait,
a game, really.
what map did he go for 4 pull? I don't remember. Oh, yeah,
It
that
was
was
Butter.
Butter. Oh, yeah, that
Yeah, it
was
was
Butter.
Butter. So I hope Butter gets through simply because we haven't seen any TVZs here. But we'll wait and see what they opt into. It looks like casters are going into, well, I thought we were going into commercial, but I forgot. Into the Rain hasn't chugged this yet, so I guess they're setting up for the chug.
Yeah, they're talking about the red color and the blue one. I guess they're all excited about it. Okay, they're now opening up the bottle.
I mean, look at Into the Rain. It's already gone before Caster Park even opens it.
Did he actually drink everything? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he really loves it. But gotta be careful to not drink like that whenever you're drinking energy drink, because it's not good for your health. But I guess since Rinta the Rain is chugging all those energy drink or maybe the sports drink, whatever they have for the new product, I'm pretty sure that's not a energy drink.
Yeah, we were thinking that it might be something like a Gatorade or a Powerade.
Or maybe
Yesterday. I mean,
vitamin water.
yeah, or vitamin water could be that. I mean, it looks completely different than obviously the Hot 6 can. Curious what it tastes like. As we said yesterday, this is like a new thing. Haven't even seen it in the stores. So next time I'm there, I'll definitely look for it.
Or maybe we have to go to Home Plus. Home Plus or E-Mart.
Oh yeah. I
They
haven't
might
been
have
to
it.
I haven't been to a Home Plus or E-Mart in a long time. Generally, I just stick to the convenience stores. I mean, there's a convenience store that's literally 20 seconds away from my house. It's so close. We are back and we'll be getting into our winners match. It's going to be a rematch of a couple seasons ago, ASL Season 11, Soma versus JYJ, and we can see that, as you stated, Terran players don't want to play on a 3-player map. Monopoly banned by JYJ, and then Butter banned by Soma, so we are going to have another TVZ just like yesterday on Metaverse.
Yeah, I guess the 2-player map is somewhat a disadvantage for Zerg, where they cannot expand everywhere like 4-player map, because 2-player map is always going to be limited of taking the expansion, and it's very easy to spot hidden expansion even Soma has prepared something unique. So yeah, 2-player map is just pretty much like a pure standard, and you just have to crush your opponent with your strength. And if you're playing on a 4-player map, vertical matchup, horizontal matchup, cross-spawn matchup is always going to be a different strategy that you can use. And more strategical or conceptually, you can play something different than the 2-player map. So maybe that could be one of the reasons someone wants to play on the other map than Butter.
Yeah, yesterday, as I stated, the Game O vs. Royal game was pretty darn good until those drops started kicking in. Also, Game O made a big mistake. Well, appeared to be making a big mistake, missing his +1 upgrade. But other than that, it seemed to go just fine for Zerg. So we'll see if Soma has anything special here, or if JYJ can repeat, knocking or moving into the round of 16 again.
게임을 시작합니다.
Right in the top right in the red, coming off a very, very strong TVT, it is JYJ, and then Soma in the bottom left, his EVP versus Ruin. He made it look easy. Now we've got cross spawns here. Yesterday we had horizontal spawns. I was talking about, or I was mentioning that mech might be viable, but what do you think about cross spawns here?
Well, I think it's okay to play. It's okay to play somewhat standard, like maybe +1 4 racks, or maybe just pure standard 2 racks opening. But we are seeing the information earlier that ASL match history, JYJ 1 win against Soma, and also Soma won 1 game against JYJ, so 1-1 each other. We are taking a look at this JYJ moving out already.
I think this is going to be the wall, yeah, with the depot, not an 8 rack. Yep, that's going to be the semi-wall we saw yesterday. Royal had an interesting wall because that depot that JYJ put down, that's where the racks was. And, you know, all Terran players know that if there are depots on the bottom side, that is not ling tight. But this will be ling tight on the bottom side at least. It's going to be that small gap at the top, of course. Meanwhile, Soma, no early pool just yet. We still could see something like a 12 pool, I guess, but that's pretty uncommon. So most likely just going to be the 12 hatch.
Yeah, so we see JYJ is playing standard. Since you're doing the natural wall, and I've heard a story where Best was asking a question to Sharp. If you're actually setting up a wall at the natural, why are you doing the 12 scout? Because you're already having that the natural with the 2 depot with the single barracks wall and almost like a link tight and easy to defend. And why are you doing the 12 scout? And Sharp actually thought about it, like, oh, maybe we don't actually need to do the 12 scout, but maybe I guess JYJ still wants to do the 12 scout because it's not a complete wall at the natural. There's a still tiny 32 pixel of the gap at the top side, so I guess he wants to be played safe.
Yeah, that is true. I think on other maps where there is, no potential for lings to get in, like Polypoid, for example, I guess you don't necessarily have to scout quickly. We see that this was not a first scout for either player, so JYJ, he does build that second depot. He's not going to be able to get away with something like a 15cc. And behind this, JYJ is just going to go for the command center. There's no gas, so it's not going to be some type of 1-1-1 tech play.
I like how confident he is. I mean, normally if you haven't found your opponent with the first scout, you gotta do the double scout at the same time, but he decided to turn back as his second scout, second SCB scout to his main base, and he also skipped the second marine production and put down the command center before he sees the natural hatchery. So I guess JYJ is actually understanding of Soma's playstyle, that he He's the player who's not gonna be doing the 9 pull most likely. So yeah, I like this confidence of how JYJ decided to do.
Well, what I like that Marine stutter step micro. He took down that drone, and of course, a single drone in any of the Zerg matchups is a big deal since they stay on a low drone count for a long time. So that's a nice pickoff. And just like yesterday, that is a pretty darn fast gas. However, that looks like it's a second barracks follow-up, so this could be an academy rush, and there it is, 335 academy. This is not going to be like a stim across the map, ample style play, but this is going to allow him to get the quick stim, quick range upgrades.
I'm looking at very carefully at Soma's supply and resource. He didn't make any Zergling, and he has been squeezing all those larvae for more drone, and immediately putting down the third hatchery before the Spire attack. So this is going to be the 2-hatch Muta build, but in base 3 hatchery before Spire. And yeah, he still doesn't have any information.
Yep, meanwhile, SCV is still alive and it's going to go in for a secondary scout, and now Soma really does need to get Lings out. So I'm happy to see that there are 2 Lings there, because if JYJ comes in here and sees the third hatch, well, all of a sudden he's not even worried about a hidden base. For now, the Lings have done a good job to keep the SCV out, and I think it's critical that that SCV doesn't get in. Okay, maybe it doesn't matter, because he's just going to let this one run by.
Well, that SCV has seen the Zergling speed is still not done yet for Soma, so he should be realizing this has to be in base 3 hatchery immediately, because the Zergling speed usually finishes at 420. And yeah, the game has gone for 4 minutes 58 seconds and still no Zergling speed yet, so now JYJ is gonna have the confidence to move out with that Marine Medic, and I like how he's having that one SCV at the 11 o'clock side, because that's the most likely the place where Soma most likely gonna go for the expansion.
Is he dead? He only has 5 Lings and 1 sunken. JYJ could kill this. He has stim. Okay, you cannot lose Marines like that though. That was really nicely done by Soma there. Okay, that stim actually could cost JYJ. Yeah, he loses a single Marine, so now he can't get through with just 6 Marines and 2 medics. But it looked dangerous for Soma for a second, having just a single sunken and 5 Lings. Now behind this, the mutas are starting to be produced, and because that SCV didn't get in, you can see it's still continuing to scout the map, and that is a 3 racks follow-up.
And yeah, here's something that we have to know. Since JYJ started off with the 2 racks academy and kind of forced Soma to make extra Zergling and then a sunken colony, we can see him not having the 7 Muta already out on the map. So JYJ can actually delay the missile turret time, or maybe just slowly add them one by one by now. Yes, still no missile turret at 6 minutes 20 seconds.
That is so annoying for that turret to not complete at like 95% completion. For now, it's not an overwhelming amount of mutas, so he's not going to commit any harder, at least on that spot. Factory is about halfway done for JYJ, so he's scaling into his tech. And meanwhile, Soma taking the top left base.
I like how JYJ got the factory really fast. I mean, normally you want to set up your missile turret first into factory, but JYJ actually put down the factory before the missile turret. Look how fast that factory is. Maybe that factory will be finished at 7-minute mark.
Uh-oh, turrets. Okay, actually the mutas don't commit to the backside of the mineral line. I thought they might go in there, but we see that Soma does not have the magic number of 7 mutas to one-shot an SCV, so that might have been the reason. He only has 6 right now. And I'm curious what Soma's transition is, because there's no Hydroden, so he doesn't have overwhelming amount of mutas, he doesn't have Lings.
Right. Yeah, he finally has some Zergling speed at the top side here. Maybe he wants to buy some time for going for the backstab here, but 6 Muta with 8 Zergling, not sure how much of a trade he will be actually getting, but that's a very interesting missile turret line at the natural, but looks like Soma not interested of going for the harassment at the net.
Well, this was a pretty good attack from Soma, because as I stated, this isn't even that many mutalists, it's just 6. and somehow none of the mutas die. They all take different shots from the turret, and they all get out successfully. And he also ended up stalling those starports. So this was a good move from Soma. He's ended up building additional mutilis. And so in case these Marines move across the map, they're going to have to deal with some freshly built mutas.
Look how fast the science facility was.
Yeah.
8 minutes, 10 seconds, like science facility already started. And now Soma does have the +1 muta, but he doesn't have much of a Zergling. But we see lots of blue dot moving out to the top left side. Maybe those are the Zergling right now he's making, but there's a bunker at the net. Mutalis cannot dive into those bunkers.
Yeah, but that is a lot of blue, like you said. I don't know if that's a... Yeah, okay, those are links. I was thinking for a second, like, wow, is that really a drone transfer? I mean, it can't be that many drones. But JYJ moving across the map, it's a slight supply lead for him. But the +1 mutas comboed with the lings, I think, would win the fight quite easily. JYJ's Marine Vault doesn't look that fearsome just yet.
You gotta be careful because the +1 muta is definitely strong. And here's something that I've been noticing about the TVZ matchup. Like, once Zerg starts to have like 1.5 group, that's about like 18 Mutalis with some couple Zergling. They are always gonna be crushing those M&M, and JYJ does not have decent amounts of Marine yet, so he needs to be very careful whenever he wants to move out. He's working on making some vessel production and more barracks, and I think that was the second eBay he's right now building above the barracks.
Well, I like JYJ's rally point with those Marines. He's keeping a decent amount of Marines right next to those turrets. Now, that's what I was waiting to see, is if those vessels are going to get picked off by the mutas. But the answer is no, the mutas do not dive bomb on them just yet. And now JYJ's army is very scary. He's going to have double irradiate, but that is a ton of lurkers. Does Soma even have Hive? I mean, he has to, right? I feel like you gotta have Hive. Yeah, he does, but he still has a lot of lurkers.
Yeah, that Defiler mount started at 10 minutes 10 seconds, and we know first two vessel was out at 9 minutes 40 seconds, and these M&Ms are going really far away from his natural. I guess JYJ wants to go back home and try to defend this bear side. I guess he has to use those irradiate. Okay, those two vessels that just came out will bait using the double irradiate nicely. Oh, one of the Mutalis will just pick off.
Well, that was a really good split right there, but the irradiate still did a lot of damage. The muta count went from 11 down to just 5, but it does alleviate pressure for Soma to get his Defiler mound completed and start consume. But JYJ's army is very, very strong, however, with the tiny ramps and the overwhelming amount of lurkers. I don't think there's any way he's going to get up here.
I guess he's going to be slowly picking up the Oboler one by one. And I'm trying to look at whether he's sending out the factory or not, but the Zerglings will be eating up those Marine at the center of the map. Still no +1 armor yet for Soma, but I saw Soma was adding the second level of the chamber. That's a sign where +1 armor is almost done.
Yep, and that is a command center follow-up from JYJ. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of Terran players out there that have experienced this same exact scenario. You've got a ton of bio, you've got a lot of map control right now, but you can't do anything with it. Let me ask you this. What triggers you to go for a command centers like this, like JYJ is doing, or to go for like a max barracks flood, like sometimes where Rush builds like 7 or 8 barracks? Is there something you're looking for, or like what triggers the command centers versus the barracks flood?
I guess whenever you realize Zerg is kinda just turtling up with like stack lurker and using the Darkstorm slowly, but we see that's lots of lurker transfer to the top side. 4 vessels are moving out. I guess he wants to use those irradiate on those 4 lurker, but gotta be careful, there are 2 scourges. Nice pick up.
Scourge don't connect, and that is 5 vessels. So he may get through this entire lurker field. Looks like one is hidden under the Dark Swarm. And you've got to be very confident that this guy doesn't have any more irradiates to just take a 4th hatch like this, because that's not that many lurkers. Like if there was even a round of fire bats, the fire bats might be able to get through. So for now, Soma is going to get away with this 4th base. But speaking of getting away with
Ooh.
4th bases. JYJ is taking a 4th base across the map, and he's already transitioning into BCs.
Yeah, I think JYJ is gonna be using the first 2 battle cruisers into the dropship most likely, because if you're not seeing the dropship over here when Zerg is taking the 4th expansion yet, and that means that we have to just assume JYJ is preparing for something else. But there's one nice play. A plague just went off really well on those Marine Medic, and JYJ wasn't paying attention, getting pulled.
Yep, that was a good connection right there with the catch-up, and he's going to get a couple of Marine killed, but not a big deal to JYJ, who is taking bases all over the place. He's up to 4 base right now, floated factory, so there's not going to be any tanks, there's not going to be any type of mech switch. It is just going to be BCs, like I said, and I've been facing more Hydra Lurker Defiler on the ladder these days, and it's just so hard to play SK Terran with BCs versus that type of play. So we'll see how JYJ is going to deal with it. For now, Soma has a ton of macro hatches. He's already got 4 bases. Zerg's in a pretty darn good spot right now.
Well, I have to say, the vessel count is still really high for JYJ. Even if Soma has decent amount of hatchery, okay, that's a nice one. Oh, okay, duplicated on a single defiler there, but still nice to save those vessels running around from those Scourge.
Half of those vessels are plagued, so they can get one-shotted by the mutas, and he realizes that he's even going to use one of the irradiates to take down that muta. That muta might get a vessel right now. Oh, that's a missed opportunity. Vessel, you can see, is at 2 health. Now, meanwhile, JYJ, I don't see a 5th base. I don't see, like, factory flood at bottom right. We haven't seen any battle cruisers just yet, and he is still only on, I think, 7 barracks right now. But look at the supply advantage. 50 supply advantage for JYJ right now. And really good control right there to know that that Defiler's coming for the plague. Ends up saving the majority of the Marines.
Yeah, that is definitely... I don't know where he's using those irradiate at earlier. I feel like he's keep duplicating those irradiate. You cannot actually stack them, but where are the battle cruisers? We see him making triple dropship, but what is that red dot at the 11 o'clock? Are they the battle cruisers?
Oh, that might actually be battle cruisers. I've seen JYJ do this. He uses the BCs to get rid of Scourge or draw the attention to the BCs, and then he goes for a drop comboed with it behind just like that. And he's got the majority of his army right there too. So this could be a devastating drop BC combo with an attack at the front. And the dropships get through. Remember, there's no Scourge now because they were all used on the battle cruisers. He's on top of the Nidus Canal. Needs to focus it down though.
Well, I guess those triple defiler and ultralisk were coming out at the same time, so that was somewhat unfortunate. And now JYJ is losing his rhythm. He started to have those floated mineral. He has to use his money. Gotta pressure your opponent much harder. And I feel like he's not. He doesn't make much of a fire bet to keep breaking off this Darkstorm. Yeah, he's still struggling.
Yeah, and there's a single spore colony to keep these vessels at bay. We saw a small counterattack to bottom right. Wasn't successful for Soma, but these vessels do need to get repaired. Like, they are dangerously low. Multiple of them have been plagued, and now Soma's the one that's going to be the aggressor. He's got a lot of minerals banked up, he's got a lot of gas banked up. The Zerg flood, or the Zerg econ, is starting to kick in. The Filers and Ultralists are both out on the map, and they are pretty well upgraded. Just +1 right now, but +2 should be completing pretty soon.
Those 4 vessels at the bottom. Oh, that's such a big hit on a plague.
Yeah, and that Defiler, if it can get to the ramp, and it might... No, it does not. But again, another big plague onto the vessels.
Yeah, that's a lot of vessels everywhere. Can use the one more irradiate on those lurker, but he's not using it. But those Marines just gonna be one hit away of getting picked up by the Zergling. Oh,
look how fast they just die when they're plagued. And now supply lead is only 25 for JYJ. The majority of the Ultralists have not been killed either. He still has a big upgrade advantage though. I see the links are still only on +1 armor, and JYJ should be pushing +3 pretty soon. But Soma is going up to 6 bases, 6 gas. BCs are moving across the map, but I mean BCs versus Defilers that can just spam Orange Cloud over and over. I don't know how much damage is going to get done here. The third base has been breached of JYJ, just a couple Lings and a single Lurker.
Well, those are a lot of a lot of battle cruisers JYJ right now has. Well, we can see JYJ still has decent amount of supply, but those triple battle cruisers needs to pay attention. Wow, that's another offensive expansion right now he's taking.
Yeah, that's a bit ambitious. I think Soma thinks that this game is over, and he may be right because he's pushing the top side of the map and the bottom side of the map. However, there are BCs, and they can be a nuisance to deal with, but with the amount of econ Soma has, he should be able to shut it down. These vessels are still not repaired, dude.
Yeah, those vessels definitely a lot. Triple battle cruiser at the 7 o'clock side, triple battle cruiser at his own natural. He does have some decent amount of vessels, but I'm not sure how much of energy he has. And yeah, those battle cruisers are getting cleared by Hydraless, and I do not like about this.
Yeah, Hydra Defiler is perfect defense versus battle cruisers. And something I've noticed is those battle cruisers don't even have +1 weapon. So if the air Scourge get +1 armor, they won't even get one-shotted anymore. And those BCs, one of them is going to die here. Goodbye, BC. Oh, that's a good Yamato. You must get Yamato if you go for BCs because it can kill units instantly through the orange cloud. But again, BCs at the top are going to get cut off by these Hydras too. Oh, now this is cute.
Oh, I think those battle cruisers needs to be on hold position.
Another good plague. This time there is a fire bat in there, but again, Terran's gonna have to turn around. Yeah, hold position right here could be good. I don't think the Hydras can range the BCs if the BCs are in the perfect spot.
Yeah, I think medics are almost out of energy. I mean, Soma has definitely a lot of minerals, but he doesn't have that much of a Vespene gas to fight back here. But these battle cruisers are dragging the pretty much it's like you gotta pay attention to my battle cruisers, or otherwise I'm gonna be hurting your expansion. And now those battle cruisers at the bottom left, and at the same time, that Dark Swarm went off.
And there is a fire bat here to take down the Defiler. The plague goes off, so that's all of the energy gone. I know JYJ has the barracks here, so he can consistently build units. He's reinforcing with a ton of vessels and marine medic towards the bottom side. That BC does get taken down, but the top side BCs eliminated that hatchery, and now they're going into the top left base. This forward hatchery is going to get taken down too, and JYJ is doing a good job to limit the Zerg bases.
I think Soma forgot about getting the armor 3 upgrade because he has been staying on this armor 2 upgrade for so long, and JYJ still has the upgraded advantage. I mean, normally when Zerg starts to have like 6 gas Ultralist and Defiler, that's so hard to fight back as Terran with the 3-3 upgrade, but 2-2 upgrade still doable for JYJ. JYJ has a little bit of a chance. I mean, now Soma got a huge supply, not a huge supply block, but Soma is just starting to fall apart. And
yeah, and there's BCs at top left in the main base and the natural, and JYJ all of a sudden has eliminated so many of the bases. These drones are very weak versus BCs. Of course, they can two-shot them, and okay, Hydras are going to pop out of those Niduses, but they're not heavily upgraded. And the BCs, I think, start with like 3 armor, so they are super tanky. And JYJ has started to cripple Soma. Soma's supply has plummeted down to 110. There's no drones at the top.
I think JYJ has done this, but yeah, Soma. I wouldn't say it's over, but he doesn't have that much base to mine from. Oh, he's about to use the Yamato on the Nidus now. Okay.
Yeah, the Nidus is gone, and there's still those 3 BCs left at the natural at top left. If those BCs can go up to the top left,
more battle cruisers.
Yeah, there's more BCs. JYJ, if you look at his gas, even though he's on 4 gases, he's consistently just basically broke in gas, and that BC survives with 1 hit, and it's gonna kill even more drones.
Well, all those vessels are definitely low HP.
look away Terran players. That was disgusting. These two Ultras may save the day, at least on the ground, but the BCs are going to wipe out the hatchery potentially. The BC in the main got wiped out finally, but JYJ has taken the natural at bottom right, but I see that his command center at top right got wiped out, so he's not on 5 bases. Meanwhile, Soma has started to take bottom left again.
Well, I'm somewhat curious why JYJ didn't even get the air weapon upgrade, because if you get air weapon upgrade, I just spend 100 mineral, 100 Vespene gas for bonus +3 damage on a battle cruiser. That will just pay him off so much against the +3 armor upgrade of the Zerg army, but that's somewhat interesting. But those battle cruisers just doing lots of work.
Yeah, they are dealing so much damage. These might, they might get away, but Soma's still not mining that position. And those BCs at mid-left are still alive. They are still alive. They're finding a straggler Ultra, very expensive unit, and now their Irradiate's going to clean that up. And JYJ is just looking for the most vulnerable position because he's got a lot of vessels. He's got good ground army with the Marine and Medic. And he still has, oh, I was going to say he still has the weapon to armor advantage, but he doesn't. +5 is kicked in for the Ultras now.
Those medics are doing such a great work. Battle cruisers are doing such a great job, and Soma is doing the long rally mining.
Marine stemming in here. The Spore is the only defense. The Nidus pops out Lings, but the defensive matrix onto the BC is going to allow it to continuously tank the Spore. And now JYJ stems the bottom left. He's going to knock out that base. He's going to knock out top left, and that's it. Soma, he's going to tap out, and JYJ again is going to knock Soma down into the deciders match. Well, like I stated before, Royal's predictions today was Soma was going to get out in first, and it was going to be Ssak making it out in second place. JYJ going to be eliminated in the first couple rounds. And not the case, because he's going to be the first one out of Group E, looking extremely solid in TVT, and then taking down one of the best Zerg players on the planet right now.
I'm just shocked like how strong JYJ was. I mean, we have seen his game number 1 on Eclipse against Ssak. I mean, no, CC first versus the Rex Expand, almost no difference. Maybe you may have like 2 more SCV than usual, but we have seen JYJ was actually being dominant with his macro, and we have seen his macro game against Soma as well. I mean, Soma was in an okay position. He got his 3rd base, 4th base, and all of a sudden he had 7 bases, but just one move like with the battle cruisers like just started to like messes the game rhythm of Soma's pace.
Yeah, those minerals on the... Oh, we got the interview with our winner.
We are continuing watching this ASL Season 13 Ro.24 Group E. First player who will be advancing into round of 16. That will be JYJ. Congratulations. And during the interview before game, JYJ, you said you are not confident to making out of this group, and now you're into the round of 16. How do you feel? And how do you feel? So JYJ is saying about his game number 1. He said he was having such a huge lead in the beginning, and he just felt like he can just win the game easily, and he wasn't actually expecting that he will win easily against Ssak. And so pretty much he was working on his second game, and it worked out so well for him. So JYJ, before you get those 2 vessels out on the map, Soma was on his pace, like keep pressuring you and kind of put your M&M back at your natural. But what made you to think to go for BC and start to change this game plan like this? So JYJ is saying he practiced. So JYJ is saying he felt great about playing the late game potential because he practiced a lot and all kinds of different game scenario at the late game. We're also curious about were you feeling somewhat nervous when you started to lose those battle cruisers all of a sudden?
상대도 그것 때문에 그런지 모르겠는데 정신을 못
So
차리더라고요.
JYJ is saying he felt somewhat uncomfortable when he started to lose those battle cruisers, but he kind of felt Soma was also losing his tempo, not catching up his attack and harassment, and he just kept keeping up on his pace and just worked out well for him.
방심을 유도했던 것 같아요.
시즌을 거듭할수록 정영재 선수
JYJ was saying
단단한
Soma
선수의 면모를
probably
갖춰가고
thought
계시는 것 같습니다.
he didn't have his guard up to defend his
기대해봐도
harassment.
될 것 같은데 어떠신가요?
We're excited to see you
일단-
climbing up higher in this ASL Season
원래
13.
연습 때 굉장히 못 이겨요. 근데 어제는 연습할 때 되게 느낌이
Okay, so
좋았거든요.
JYJ is saying
이대로만 가면
he practiced a lot last night, and he felt really great from last night.
저도 오늘 정영재 선수의
So,
경기력 보니까 충분히 가능성이 있겠다라는
he thinks
생각이
he will
드는데
just-
아마 팬분들도 그러셨을
he will
것
play well
같습니다.
in the future.
팬분들에게도 든든한 한마디를
Any last
남겨주시면
word
좋을 것 같아요.
any last word to your fan?
일단 항상 응원해 주시는
thank you for the fans who are rooting for him.
그리고 지금 응원하고 있을 CP 분들 너무
He wants to
감사하고요.
say thanks to CP members, the CP University.
사랑하는 제 자신에게 수고했다고 말하시네요.
He said he wants to say
알겠습니다.
he wants to
조지명
say
씨
he
뵙도록
loves
하겠습니다. 진출
he loves
축하드립니다.
to
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 오늘의 첫 번째
he was kind of
16강
tricking
진출자
to the
정영재
audience.
선수와 함께 했고요.
He said he
저희는
loves
잠시
himself.
쉬었다가 홍덕
Thank you
선수와
for
최우선 선수의
making it to round
패자전
of
경기로
16.
돌아오겠습니다.
Yep, congratulations to JYJ. He crushed it today and really proved that he deserved to make it into the round of 16. But this is going to set us up for a TVP losers match, and then winner there is going to face off against Soma. And again, Soma may be eliminated early because we've got two strong players in the losers match. We are going into the losers match in just a second, and there's a shocker. You were talking about how Terran players don't like Monopoly, but that's going to be a butter ban, and that's going to be a metaverse ban from Ruin there. So we are actually going to have a TVP on Monopoly.
Well, that's something interesting. Well, I guess that was a somewhat obvious Ssak that banning the two-player map on Butter because it's just another version of Eclipse that you automatically get gas stolen, and we have seen Ruin go for the gas steal into a Nexus first, into some type of like a forge expand. And yeah, it's kind of annoying to deal with, and Ssak is not interested of playing against those kind of shenanigans that Ruin is prepared for. So yeah, that was somewhat obvious, and Ruin decided to ban the Metaverse.
Yeah, I think Metaverse could be good for Protoss. Well, I think it could be good for any race, really. But Protoss, where they can take the third base on the, in one of the middle bases quite easily, and then get 3 base up and running quite quickly. I think that could have been a good pick for him, but I guess he feels more confident on playing something like Monopoly. I think we saw Bisu versus somebody, didn't we, already in this tournament? And Bisu picked him apart with the Reaver drops. We know that Ruin has interesting builds, so I'm curious what he's got planned for PvT on here. I already pointed out the light game from last season. So yeah, let's see if he's got something special planned here, or maybe Ssak's got something special planned here.
We actually noticed 3 of them are in CP. Ruin, Ssak, and JYJ. I think they're all in CP. So I guess this is a team kill. Pretty much have to fight against the teammate here. And yeah, I guess players are getting ready, sipping up some water before getting into the game.
Yep, and they are ready now. So let's get into our losers match. One player going to be eliminated. Other players going to be vying for their spot, going up against Soma in the deciders match.
Oh, I just saw the comment of them talking each other.
Yeah, they said they're sad, right?
They're sad. They want to drink.
패자전 대결입니다.
So
프로토스
in
홍덕
the
선수의
bottom left, our Protoss
아래쪽이
player
홍덕 선수고요.
is Ruin,
위쪽이 최우선 선수입니다.
and in the top left,
1차전에서 패배하고
one and
패자전
only,
내려온
it
두
is
선수입니다.
Ssak.
두 선수 중에 한 선수만 최종전을 갈 수 있죠.
Now we know that Ssak, or you were telling us about how Ssak had kind of like
주어진 마지막 기회를
more Wraith / BC style in TVT. We didn't see that exactly because JYJ just crushed him. But is there anything typical about Ssak's TVP? Is he just a standard player? Does he like to harass?
Oh, he's a standard player, but I know Ssak, he kind of likes to go with the factory into starport follow-up, into some sort of like a vulture harassment, into 2 base 5 factory with a 2-1 upgrade. He likes to rush for that +2 upgrade with the 2 base.
Right, well, we'll see if that can, or if that strategy comes to fruition. Looking at the layout of the map and the base size of Monopoly, I have seen games where vulture drops do a ton of damage here, so this may be just a map that fits Ssak's playstyle. Meanwhile, we see that this is just typical pylon placement from Ruin, so it's not going to be something like a forward gate, it's not going to be a 12 Nexus, and he is going to scout Ssak first. Meanwhile, Ssak? Okay, that's just forward racks. I thought he was banking up minerals to go for a command center.
Yeah, Ssak is putting down the barracks at the ramp and getting up the refinery at 12. And this is really tough whenever Protoss always scout you first and start harassing at 1 minute 50 seconds. I mean, you want to go out with the 13 scout and Probe is already harassing you. And this will just pretty much forcing Ssak not to go for the scout and pretty much have to turtle up here.
Yep, and it's going to delay his factory a little bit. If you have that SCV trying to save the SCV on the barracks, of course you're not going to be able to mine those minerals as efficiently. Meanwhile, gas done for Ruin. He's going to just go into the standard cybernetics. I didn't see him build a zealot, so no zealot pressure coming across the map. Meanwhile, that probe did not harass as much as I anticipated. Ssak did a good job to limit or to damage that probe.
Well, we know Ssak hasn't done any scout yet. He's completely blind.
Yeah, so he has no idea whether it's the right side or the bottom side. Luckily for him, it's a 3-player map, so he's got a 50-50 shot here that he's going to guess the right direction. I like how the probe went to the left side, and the Marine chases it, which I think means that the SCV is going to go to the right side. Yeah, that's exactly the case. And now, Ruin can do whatever he wants. Instead, it is just going to be standard. He gets range and the Dragoon.
Yeah, so he's playing somewhat standard, but I try to remember, but his gun range upgrade wasn't, no, his cybernetic score was somewhat delayed compared to the regular standard time, but I guess he is prepared to go for one gun into a Nexus first.
That is going to be the Nexus plop down, and Ssak gonna get a little dicey here with the Vulture follow-up. You know, a lot of Protoss players have experienced this over the past year or two, and they're most likely going to just rally the second goon to the ramp. But if he doesn't, the Vulture could potentially get in here and do some damage. SCV's going to come in here and see it is just a one goon expand, and it actually does slip by. Nicely done by Ruin there to send out the probe, though, to block from getting into the main.
Well, I'm looking at carefully of Sak's resource because he's putting down the third depot and then a factory, but looks like that SCV is moving downside. I'm not sure what he's exactly building.
That looks like it could be an academy. It's definitely obviously not a starport or a factory. It's not an eBay, it's too small, and he definitely didn't double depot. So I'm thinking that that's got to be the academy. He didn't get any intel. All he knows is that it's an expansion, so he at least knows that it's not a rush DT. Yeah, that is the academy. And that's going to be armory. Nope.
Yeah, so he's putting down an academy. Interestingly, he decided not to go for starport, but I guess since he showed his starport opening so many times on online, I guess he decided to play something unpredictable move. Like instead of doing something same thing over and over, he prepared for something else, going for the academy here. And since I'm the one practice with Ruin, I know Ruin really loves to go for straight Reaver build instead of the shuttle, instead of the observer. But let's see what Ruin is going to do.
Well, this is a big macro opener from Ssak. He got away with not having to build a single tank. He ended up going into 2 vultures with the mine upgrade, and that's going to give him good map presence, forces the goon to stay back, can also give him vision onto third bases. Oh, okay, I thought that was going to be a Nexus for a second. And I think that pylon is specifically intended versus Ssak, who you were talking about, is very well known to go for starport play.
Yeah, that's very defensive playstyle from Ssak right now. We're seeing he's putting down those spider mines at his main base because of the no gun pressure. I mean, normally once Protoss has the gun range upgrade, you're supposed to be getting like the gun hit on your bunker, but Ruin hasn't done it yet. Maybe that could be the reason why Ssak decided to put spider mines at the main base here. And he did not. I like how Ssak did not get the second comfort station, because if you get those double comfort station in early stage, you're pretty much not getting 2 SCV production every single comfort station you're getting. So I like that idea.
Yeah, it really does cut into your SCV count. Meanwhile, we've got Ruin taking a third base on the left side of the map. The Vulture's poking in because he was expecting the third base to be over there, but not the case. Meanwhile, Armory is done. He has started his +1. That was an eBay at the natural, but it got cancelled, so he is just continuing to power pretty hard is Ssak. Reaver or support bait just now started for Ruin, so no Reaver anytime soon.
Yeah, so that was a nice one. Keep scouting with the observer. Not sure how many observer he has. There's a 1 observer.
Kind of mysterious, well, from Sak's point of view, what Ruin's doing, because he thinks that there's no third base, but we know that there is a third base on the left side. The goons have done a good job to deny the Vulture intel, and the observer gets taken out right before the 2 additional factories come down, so Ruin also kind of in the dark on exactly what Ssak is doing.
Finally scans that robotic facility and see there's a shuttle came out, and 2 zealots are also standing. So Ssak will be realizing of this
타이밍 좀 기다리고
the
있습니다.
Reaver build, but I
꾸준히
see
탱크 위주로 병력 생산하고
that's a lot of siege tank with a double machine shot, but not seeing the starport yet. Maybe
병력 하나하나를
Ssak might gonna be moving out with the +1 attack upgrade.
Yeah, he very well could be. He's going into 4-fact. He does have the eBay coming up, so turret ring is going to be coming.
여기 돌아요.
4-fact can be very strong if you can ramp up your tank count, but because he built 2 vultures in the beginning, not sure exactly how many tanks he's actually going to have if he ends up moving out. Meanwhile, the gateway count is extremely low for Ruin right now. You can see he's just now started his 3rd and 4th fact, or 3rd and 4th gate. Vulture does confirm the 3rd base though, and he does finally realize like, hey, you actually do have 3 base econ up and running.
날아가요.
Yeah, there's
틈을 계속 찾고 있는
there's
상황에서
another factory going up at the main base, and Ruin sees about it. I think that's a probe sending at the bottom middle. I don't think it's a good idea to warp out Nexus because we don't see the starport yet.
상대방을 묶어놓기 위한 용도, 공격적으로 타이밍 맞게 견제 용도로 사용을
I
했을
think it'd be
거라면
ambitious to take that 4th base, but he does, and it is the 5 fact, like you were calling, but this does look like it's going to be a +1 timing, but I mean, it has to be, right? Like, the armory was pretty darn fast, and the starport is extremely late, so maybe at worst it's a 1-1 time? And that is a lot of tanks.
저기서 벌초를 막 뽑아냈을 때는
Yeah, that is definitely a lot of siege tank. We can see one of the siege tank was unsieged from the natural, from the main base, and now we see there's a.
하나의 또 일환이죠.
Ooh, gotta be careful because the Goliath has the Goliath range upgrade already.
Yeah, and you could see what Ruin was trying to do there. He's trying to zealot bomb onto the SCVs while the tanks were in siege mode and splash SCVs to death. Ooh, one goon falls to this incoming tank push. 3rd base is very close because of how Ruin expanded, and there's not a very good angle for Ruin to come in here too. So this may be a very strong push from Ssak if he commits to it. 6 gate for Ruin. Citadel is done. I don't think speed is done yet though.
Well, I don't like about those 6 gateway placement because those guns are getting stuck there, and yeah, he's also expanding to the bottom middle, but at the same time tanks are already moving out with the +1 attack.
Yeah, I don't know how he can actually save this base. I think he needs to just evacuate this base. I saw his cybernetics spinning also, so he's got some type of air coming. I didn't see a fleet beacon, so I imagine this is just going to be a scout. We've seen that actually in multiple games lately. Reaver came in, tried to defend, and got shelled by a ton of tanks, and it almost got picked off. And yeah, this 3rd base just instantly dies.
That is a lot of siege tank and Goliath. Even SCV with the building came down to get some vision control. And now Ruin is trying to go for the backstab here, but Spider-Man does trigger to those good Spider Mine. And
This is a good way to deal with 4 fact, is to just go for a counterattack. Unfortunately, it's hard to get reinforcements across the map, and this attack is actually just going to be basically denied by a handful of mines and rallied tanks. They're like, look at the army of Protoss. It's basically pure goon, and there's no way that you can go into the main of Terran when they're in a defensive posture like this. So the 4 fact is going to continue to push across the map, and Ruin's army is completely split up. There's still no speed on these zealots either.
No, those siege tank is just definitely strong, and zealot speed. He really needs to get that zealot speed, and now those guns are trying to move down, but he doesn't have any observer. I mean, Ssak has been cutting out the observer really well.
Almost all of the zealots already died. Speed finally kicks in, but it's way late. The shuttle's gonna come in, but there's 3 Goliaths here. With +1, they can 2-shot the shuttle. For now, the Reavers are alive. Well, not anymore, because that one instantly died to those 2 tank shells. And Ruin, like, move commands his goons. On the top side, loses almost all of them. 40 supply lead for Ssak, and you can see Ruin's face. He is super disappointed, and we are probably moments away from the GG coming out, unless there's carriers being built. I see Stargates on the left side.
Yeah, they are the 2 Stargate with the fleet beacon, what he was preparing for. But I guess Ruin, it looks like he left his, yeah, he's not touching his mouse. We can see his APM is going down. even more, and he's very upset about his gameplay. He taps out, and Ssak will be winning.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for Ruin because I thought he had a pretty decent opener, but the 4-fact or 5-fact push from Ssak just a little bit too strong. Monopoly doesn't seem to have that many angles to come from. Like, you can't reinforce your units for a counterattack. You can't necessarily set up a good flank. And the tank count was just way too high and no way for Ruin to overwhelm him.
Well, I guess it's a +1 5-fact, +1 6-fact, whatever he did. I guess it's really powerful because of, I guess if you're playing on a regular map like, or recent, or I should say modern map, yeah, the modern map like Polypoid, or any sort of like a 4-player map or 3-player map, you cannot really do it because of all those terrain and high ground that you can actually abuse it as Protoss. But Monopoly was completely flat map. There's no high ground that Rain was actually can buy some time, but it was just straightforward, like losing that third nexus and immediately attacking the natural.
Yeah, it looked very punishing, so I'm sure future matches, TVP on that map, players will keep that in mind. But this sets us up for a TVZ as our deciders match. It's going to be Soma versus Ssak. We'll be back with it in just a moment. We are back with our final match of the day. We already saw JYJ take down Soma, and Ssak is looking to do a repeat here to knock down Soma again in the early stages of the ASL. Our map this time is going to be Allegro, and we have not seen many games on this map so far.
Well, Allegro is one of the map that is kind of like or it's literally the same tile and same map design like Largo on ladder map pool that you can play on a Blizzard server. But Allegro is, they changed the terrain a little bit on the center of the map, and also somewhat easier to take your third expansion where the mineral expansion is compared to the Largo, because Largo we have seen like Best getting knocked out by A15's Mess. Hydralisk like high ground. Hydralisk like keep attacking that mineral expansion, and he was struggling, and yeah, they made it somewhat easier for players to take the third expansion here. And yeah, I guess they both didn't want to play on a revolver for some reason, because we have seen Soma going for insanely crazy 3 base and 4 base Guardian Ultralisk build against Rush last time.
Yeah, I also noticed that, and I was surprised to see Soma veto that, because my experience on the ladder is if Zerg can take that natural third base, it's so hard to prevent them from first getting that base and getting a 4th base. So a little shocking there, but we are going to have Allegro as our final game of the day, and it's going to be Ssak versus Soma. 1 player moving into the round of 16, 1 player going home.
최종전 경기입니다.
Right in the bottom left,
박상현 선수예요.
it is our Zerg player, Soma,
정영재 선수에게 패배하고
and
내려왔습니다.
in the bottom right,
패자전에서
our
홍돌
Terran
거꾸로
player,
올라온
it
최우선
is
선수고요.
Ssak.
5시
Now, I think bottom right, you can wall the natural as Terran. Is that correct?
박상현 선수
That is
최우선.
right.
지금까지
And that's
경기에서
interesting that Soma is not doing the correct overload scout. He's doing the reverse scout here, that he's sending his overload all the way to 11 o'clock. Normally you want to send your overload to a different spawning location of a natural side first. So yeah, the 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, but he's sending 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
Yeah, a lot of Zerg players are doing it these days, and it's no surprise to me that I'm seeing Soma do that. Because, you know, obviously a lot of ladder players copy the trends, copy players like Soma. And as expected, Ssak is going to go for that wall. If you can wall a position, I highly suggest it. It's so powerful to prevent any of those aggressive plays, unless it's a 4-pull like we saw Beast pull out. And this could be anything, because Ssak is one of the innovators of 1-1-1. So this could be tech behind it, it could be a command center behind it, and the fact that Soma's scouting the wrong direction really does give Ssak a little bit of an advantage.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a huge advantage for Ssak, because normally if you're doing the standard overload scout, you want to send your second overload to your natural so you can see the bunker rush. But if you're doing the reverse scout like that, you can actually scout 11 o'clock and 5 o'clock with the double overload at the same time. So that's one of the great concept of the sending the overload in a different direction. And we see Soma is sending out the drone really fast here.
Yep, drone is going to find Ssak, the first scout. Now Soma, okay, he does put down that pool. I saw him have an excess of 200 and thought maybe he's going to go for 3 hatch before pool. But now finding Ssak in with his first scout, it's going to be annoying with this drone. Okay. You know, sometimes when the drone does get a little bit too cocky here, I like to wall it in and make sure that it's not able to escape. But he did not fall for that, and wow, this SCV might actually die. It is at 25 health, but there's no way for the SCV to get back into the main right now.
It feels so sad to watch Ssak while playing. Oh, we see him going for the refine. So yeah, I want to say like Ssak is somewhat feeling uncomfortable, because normally you want to go for the scout, but remember on losers match, Ssak was getting all those harassment by Ruin, and he wasn't able to scout for a long time, and now he's getting the same thing again, like drone harassment in the beginning.
Yeah, he really doesn't have any intel in any of these games, and this scout pattern has thrown Ssak off. He's going for a cross spawn scout, or a cross map scout, And obviously Soma's not there. He may even go to the top right side now. Oh my gosh, this is a disaster. He's going to find him last. And versus someone like Soma, you really do need to know, or at least have some intel on what this guy is going for.
What I like about this Ssak's decision making of this going for the gas into CC first, and then if you're going for CC first into refinery, you won't be able to get this factory this fast. But if you go for the refinery first and then command center, as their perspective, like seeing, yeah, you went for the 2 depot command center with the single marine production. There's almost like impossible to realize whether this is a refinery expansion or CC first.
Yeah, and you can see that Soma is not sure exactly what it is, because if he thought it was factory expand, he would have put down a sunken by now. Okay, it looks like he does have a sunken. So this was a good read from him. The SCV is going to get caught by these lings too. So he has absolutely no idea what Soma's doing. He doesn't know if it's 3 hatch, he doesn't know if it's 2 hatch. At least he got to see speed, so that's nice.
Yeah, he's getting 6 Zergling, 8 Zergling. Well, I guess 8 Zergling is the magic number of defending whatever the Terran is doing, I suppose. But now he sees Barracks is not blinking. He only sees 2 Marine on that side. But I wonder whether he will be realizing whether this is a Vulture speed into Valkyrie or whatnot. Because Terran can also hide those Marine even if he's playing something standard like a Turax Academy.
Yeah, it could be a whole bunch of things, and that looks like it's going to be a second factory going down potentially. There's something set up right next to the factory right now. Okay, that's a Vulture, so maybe not. It is just going to be Valkyrie follow-up like you were saying. There's the depot. Trying to see, is there an eBay anywhere? Okay, it has started and is halfway done at the top side of his base.
Yeah, this will lead Soma to understand the game as a +1 4-racks or +1 5-racks by Ssak, but it really isn't. There are 2 Vultures that are moving out. Vultures are getting spotted by the Zergling.
Yep, and this... Oh, I thought he had a sunken colony earlier, but maybe he canceled it, and meanwhile, mutas are going to pop out, so they're going to be able to defend this easily now, but this could have been annoying. Actually, speed kicks in, so he's just going to run across the map, and this buys Ssak some time to get up Valkyries, and Valkyries obviously definitely the counter to Mutalis if you can get up even just 2 of them.
Yeah, and since he has done the 3rd base expansion instead of putting down the 3rd hatchery at the main base, Soma is just losing lots of time. I mean, this somewhat reminds me of Rush versus Ssak, and no, Rush versus Soma last season, and Rush was saying Ssak gave Rush about this builder, and he's one of the... Ssak is kind of like the master of this 1-1-1 strategy, and we can see he's doing really well, buying some time.
Well, Soma already knows Ssak's playstyle. He's preemptively built 4 Scourge to knock down these Valkyries. He gets 1 of them. There's still 1 still alive. Luckily, the turret finishes in time. These guys are taking a ton of damage. Like, that's 2 or 3 volleys from a Valkyrie. The Vulture does find the base at top left, and that means Vultures can just go up there and shut down the mineral line. Wow, this is a Hive Rush.
Oh, that's very interesting. We are seeing Hive Tech already on the way. Maybe Soma is preparing for some type of like a Guardian Hydra then, because I don't know if you guys, or maybe you have played against Zelot, the Zerg player Zelot. He always plays Guardian Hydra against Terran, and that's what I'm feeling about what Soma exactly going to be doing, because I don't see any other building. Oh, there's a Hydra then, but judging by how fast the Hive Tech is, I don't think this is going to be the Lurker upgrade.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I also think it's Hydra Guardian, and I think this is a good mind game because Zerg players these days almost exclusively go +1 weapon. So +1 armor is going to catch Ssak off guard. Guardians already start with a high armor base, and I didn't see that armory spinning for +1 weapon on air, so the Marines don't have heavy upgrades. There's no comm stat, so he can't even scan to see exactly what's going on. I think this is going to be a perfect counter to what Ssak is going for.
Or maybe it's not a guardian build, but he still
got
gets the
weapon.
he still got the weapon upgrade. But I don't understand about Soma's gameplay right now. Like conceptually, he is doing late game transition into maybe like a lurker defiler once again. But I mean, Terran is already ready. Terran is ready to move out. He does have 3 Valkyries, some decent amount of Marine comp. He probably doesn't have the Steam Pack upgrade yet, but he will be having it in next couple of seconds or so. Oh, even Siege Tank.
Wow, this build is wild. I was not expecting this. He scans and sees there's the Defiler mount already done. Scourge connect onto one of the Valkyries again. And now there's just 2 Valkyries, and the Mutas are still being a nuisance, knocking down SCVs left and right. But Ssak is out across the map, and if you look at top left, there is absolutely no defense for the 3rd base. And again, tanks are going to get picked off just like yesterday, but I'm mostly worried about these Marines and medics moving to top left because this base is completely vulnerable.
Oh, those what happened to those spider mines at the natural? No spider mines at the natural, and now we see Soma. What is Soma exactly gonna do? I'm not sure whether he knows about there are 6 spider mines at the right, left side of the map. Well, he is trying to avoid those spider mines. That's definitely nice, but. Okay, I guess he wants to defend that expansion.
Yeah, Lurkers and Mulus are setting up behind the Marines. That was a really nice Lurker morph to save this base, and that is a ton of Lurkers. One instantly dies, though. That's a pretty darn good split from Ssak to salvage as many Marines as he possibly can. Now, that was a big Lurker hit, but the Mulus are going to get caught by these 2 Valkyries. That means these Mutas are going to die.
Oh, okay, 1 left over remaining. And we were seeing the Marine try to pick up the Lurker. He will be able to pick up. Looks like that Marine range is still not done yet for Ssak. He probably has the tank for. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to get tank anymore because he keeps losing those tanks. But yeah, he's making something. I see on the middle something flying, ignoring all those terrain. Is that dropship?
Yeah, it could be a dropship. That's a nice counter when you've eliminated a lot of the Scourge and a lot of the Mulus. I don't even know if there's a Nidus over here. The medics ended up surviving, and Soma just thinks that these medics are just, scouting, but they're not. That's just 5 Marines. Nidus will get picked off.
Oh, no, Nidus can no.
Now this counterattack by Soma, what is it? Is it just isolated Lurkers? That's a slow unit going with it. That might be Lurker Defiler, and it is. It's 5 Lurkers and a Defiler, and there's no counter to the Defiler.
Okay, so this is definitely. Gotta be careful. There's 1 spider mines. I mean, both of the players try to pay attention. Both of the players are pretty much playing super aggressive here. Oh my god, Vulture drop even spider mines.
Yeah, and there's 2 Marines comboed with the Vultures too. Both players putting on a ton of pressure. The Nidus is going to fall, but the natural has been breached of Terran for Lurkers, but there's no Lings for more consume energy. Oh my god, all the SCVs died of the Lurkers, and Soma's supply is so low, but so is Sak's, and he has nothing. He has absolutely no vessels. He has nothing to hit under Darkstorm, and Soma may have just barely done it with the Orange Cloud.
Okay, he finally gets the Siege Tank out, but tank is very low on the health. Oh,
he doesn't have siege mode. He doesn't have.
Yeah,
he may have a vessel, but I don't know. I don't. My god! Darkstorm into the commands. Oh my gosh! Huge hits onto those SCVs. 18 kills on a single Lurker.
Yeah, this is definitely a crazy game right now here. Whoever pay attention more and try to recover from here will be at oh, is that gonna be the Siege Tank Michael we're gonna be seeing?
I mean, it could, but Sak's not mining. That's the problem. He's just not mining. Meanwhile, Soma's still mining on 2 bases. Finally, siege mode completes. The Lurker does get cleaned up at the natural. The Lurkers in the main are still being super annoying. Lings flooding into the natural, just trying to draw the attention of Ssak away from this tank.
Yeah, I think not having those. Ooh,
oh my god! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! No, he knows. He focused it. He got like 5 more. Oops. Oh, that's it. Ssak taps out, and Soma with a clutch counterattack wins the game. That was wild.
That was definitely a wild game, man. I think those aggressive Spider-Mans that where he put at the Soma's main base, maybe he could have put those Spider-Mans at his natural and maybe try to buy some time there in the beginning, but I guess he wasn't actually thinking of those Defiler Lurker counterattack.
Yeah, like I was waiting for Soma to go for that since he knew that Terran had Tech to the Valkyries. They're so expensive, you can't have that many units. But I guess Ssak didn't realize he lost his minds because he put a ton on the map in the early stages and was relying on them for defense. But once they were gone, there was absolutely nothing to hit the Lurkers as they moved across the map. And that means Soma makes it out just barely. And we're going to be going into an interview with our winner in just a second.
Yeah, it would have been so sad for Soma's fan because he got eliminated in the last season in round of 16, I believe. And yeah, if he gets eliminated in round of 24, people will be so unhappy about it. But we'll be going for the interview. ASL Season 13 Round of 24 Group E. The second player will be advancing into the round of 24, round of 16. That will be Soma. Congratulations. And every game that you have played except for game number 1, the winner's match and the final game, you were probably having some nervous, like all those opponents like playing aggressive and pressure you for the whole time.
오늘 테란전을 2번 하셨습니다. 승자전과 최종전에서.
Soma,
승자전 정영재 선수와의
you
경기
played
이후에 좀
Zerg
생각이
versus Terra
많아지셨을 것
matchup 2
같아요.
times.
워낙 초반에 박상현 선수가 좋아하는 흐름으로 흘러가기도 했는데 사실 좀
Game
역전을
numbers,
당하는 역전을
the
당하는
winners
구도가
match,
만들어지면서
you were on you were
어떤
playing
생각을
well and you were on
하셨을지도
your pace,
들어보고 싶네요.
having lots of
제가
expansion, but
메타버스에 대한 이해도가 좀 떨어졌던 것 같아요. 제가
but you started to fall off because of the harassment that JYJ was doing.
이렇게 생각이 났거든요. 근데 앞마당 가스가 4천인 거 알았으면은 좀 더 볼트를 빨리 먹던가.
So Soma is answering that he did not understand the metaverse that much because he was saying he did not know the natural gas is only 4,000 Vespene gas. He didn't know about that information. Like once those like he took down some battle cruisers, but like more battle cruisers were coming out, and he realized that no Vespene gas that he can squeeze his larva for more cruisers. And yeah, that was his mistake of not understanding the
굉장히
map
빠르게
correctly.
좀 하이브를 가는 운영을 보여주셨는데 상대
And
발키리를
today's
보고
game,
좀 생각을 하셨나요?
What made you to go for super fast hive?
속업 벌처가 올 때부터 발키리인 건 알았는데.
So Soma is answering as soon as he saw those vulture speed, he knew this is going to be the Valkyrie opening. And he played against Rush.
안에 오래 박혀서 이제
He played against Rush, and Rush was doing that same strategy. So yeah, that was one of the reasons he wanted to play something different than the last time. He wanted to go for high.
네. 또 11시 쪽으로 최우서 선수가 공격을
Since
가는
he kept getting
길목에
attacked
럴커
by
에그가 있어서
Ssak, he
박상현
wanted to go
선수가
for
좀
the
시간을 벌 수
counterattack,
있었던 것도 중요했던 것
and
같아요.
he thinks he could have lost the game if those spiders mine were at Ssak's natural. If Ssak was playing,
제발 잡지 말아라 하고 있었는데 선영도 좀
somewhat slow pace and not try to go for super aggressive and try to turtle up and playing solid, those 5 levels could have got stopped by the Spider-Mines or maybe remaining the M&M that he got from the reinforcement. So that was somewhat lucky.
사람들이 항상 저에 대해서 평가할 때 우승 커리어가 없는 게 크다. 뭔가 필드 발전이나 이런
his fans are saying,
지금은 이제
Soma,
어떻게든 우승하고
your career is still amazing. You don't have that ASL champ title, but it's still nice to see you keep making the unique build order like 9 hatch or some type of like a 10 hatch. But instead of doing unique strategy, I think it still needs to focus on more about understanding the game more than creating a new build. Any last word to your people? Thank you for the people who are cheering. to Soma, for Soma,
네,
and
다시 한번 박상현 선수
thank you for the
진출
members
축하드리고요.
in the
조지명 직대
same
뵙겠습니다.
school team,
축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
CP and Basford and
자, 이렇게 해서
something.
오늘의 두 번째 16강 진출자 저그
And thank you
박상현
for rooting
선수와
me.
함께했습니다.
Thank you for the interview.
Now we're getting a recap of our games today. Of course, Soma taking down Ruin, JYJ crushing Ssak, JYJ crushing Soma, moving on. Then Ssak taking down Ruin, and then Soma just barely making it past Ssak. I gotta say, Soma's looking like he's a bit vulnerable in the Zerg vs Terran matchup, and I think if he goes up against these players again, he may not be as successful moving into the round of 8 or round of 4. And now look at that balance scan. There's no longer a Protoss flood of players. It's now 5, 4, and 5, basically completely balanced.
Yeah, it's nice to see the race distribution is almost even. And who's playing tomorrow? Oh yeah, JD is gonna be playing tomorrow.
Yep, Jaedong, Solkey, Movie, and Mong. And Movie's going to have a tough time because Solkey is an absolute killer in ZVP. And then I'm looking forward to Mong versus JD. I think that should be quite a close series. But Movie, actually, I was not too impressed with him like a year ago, but lately he's been playing really well. I even saw him in some sponsored matches versus Light, and he ended up beating Light. I was so surprised there. So we may have another upset potentially if he can take down somebody like Solkey here.
Yeah, Soki is definitely a strong player, but I have a feeling Mong on round of 24, he usually makes it out of round of 24 easily, even if he plays against those strong player. But just by looking at those the bracket, what I'm seeing, I think Mong is in tier 2, and tier 2, those like the career that Mong has been building it up for the whole time on this ASL performance. You cannot estimate about Mong's mechanics and his skills.
Yeah, Mong always does pretty well in the ASL, but Jaedong, he's come back recently and he's been playing a ton. I think he mentioned that his hands felt a little better, but then they started hurting again after started to play so much. So hopefully his hands are in good shape going into tomorrow's matches. I'm sure he's done some type of maintenance to make sure that they're feeling good tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaedong's a huge fan favorite. Do you think that he's got a shot to make it out of this group? Do you think he can make it out in first place?
Well, I'm not sure, but if he doesn't fall into playing against Soki and ZVZ, maybe Jaedong might gonna have some nice shot to make it out of the group. I have a feeling Mong is gonna be playing really, really well tomorrow.
Okay, well, you always have the insights onto these players, so I'm looking forward to that because anytime a Terran player is playing well, I'm super excited. I'm surprised to hear you say Jaedong should be worried about Solkey because wasn't Solkey the one that Zero was saying was like a free win in Zerg versus Zerg, if you remember the previous season? I think I remember Solkey talking about how Calm was suggesting some builds to him, and Solkey was up like 2-0, and then he deviated away from Calm's playstyle or Calm's strategies and ended up losing the series 3-2. But I could be wrong, but I remember a lot of people saying that ZVZ is Solkey's weak point.
Yeah, but that's also true. But always, whenever you're playing on a best of 1 series, and even if you're such a strong player, like we have seen Snow, yeah, he's a tier 1 player, tier 1 Protoss player, getting knocked out in round of 24 because of the best of 1 series, and he was pretty much facing against Zerg, which is kind of like on disadvantage side of playing a PvZ than playing PvP. So yeah, so Soki probably gonna have a great shot against a Movie. Not gonna be having any doubt, like not gonna be losing against a Movie. But if Soki ever plays against Mong, either winner's bracket or loser's bracket, I think Mong is just gonna be showing something very powerful strategy.
Well, that's good for the racial balance because Terran is lacking their 5th representative right now. So if Mong makes it through, that makes it 5, 5, and 5. And then we would just have one more representative for either Zerg or Protoss. So that's about as even as it could possibly get. So hopefully Mong puts on a good showing. I know he's a super talented Terran player. So of course he has a good shot. Looks like casters are wrapping it up. So thank you guys so much for watching. Group E was fantastic today. Really impressive play by JYJ. And we will see you tomorrow with the Zerg group, Solki and Jaedong. That should be super exciting. And we're going to round out our top 16 players.